Hey, what are we doing today? Well, we are delivering to you for free the audio version of Always Ripped, The Ultimate Guide to Becoming a New Man After 40. A book that I wrote. Well, I'm just going to start reading it to you. Introduction. Why this just might be the last self-help book you'll ever need. There's a slick marketing trick that person A uses when he wants to sell something to person B. What we do is describe the pain you're in better than you can even describe it. And when we tell you that the mess you've tossed yourself into is not even your fault. You've been duped. Why, you've been hoodwinked, dog. They lied to you. Now, come with me and don't forget your credit card and I'll fix everything for you, you poor, poor man. Look, I don't even know you, but I love you. And I know that's weird, but hear me out. If you love someone, you tell them what they need to hear, not what they want to hear. In college, my buddy told me that my girlfriend cheated on me when I went out of town. You think I wanted to hear that? But he was my boy, and he needed to tell me that. So as your self-appointed boy, it's my duty to tell you that if you're over 40 and you're fat, broke, drink too much, still smoking or vaping, or you're actually still messing around with drugs, it's totally your fault. And it's time to fix that. Now, it's still your fault, but here's what happened. In your 20s, you were a dumbass, and so was I. YOLO and all that nonsense. In your 30s, the bad choices you made in your 20s cemented into habits, and habits became your default. And habits, well, they're tricky bastards to break and recreate. We don't even think about most of the stuff we do. That's what a habit is. Good or bad, habits are now your current operating system, your default. But here's the thing. You're 40 or even 50 now. Even if you don't own a scale, I know for certain you've had access to a mirror. Do you like what you see when you look into that mirror every day? Buck naked? If the answer is yes, well, sorry you wasted your money, but I'm keeping it. And if you stick around, you might get some tips and a laugh or two. But if the answer is no, then read on and let's change your life. You're here because the motherfucker inside you brought you here. We'll talk more about him later, but I doubt there's much explaining to do because his voice has grown louder within you. He doesn't like where you're headed, and now he wants to drive. And I'm here to show you how to make real, doable changes that fit into your already busy life. You've got a job, maybe a family, and a million things pulling at you every day. I get it. But that's why this isn't about adding 97 new daily habits for you to get done before 7 a.m. It's mostly about integration, my friend. Sure, we're going to add some things, and you will be working out. We are about making simple adjustments that work with the life you've got right now. Buckle up, my friend. We're not here for the same old feel-good motivational talk. We're here to take action, simple practical steps, nothing fancy, to help you get your life back on track and transform into the man you thought you could be when you were a boy. P.S. Yeah, I know transform into a new man sounds like another tired cliche like living your best life or becoming the best version of yourself. You've heard that so much that it doesn't even mean anything to you anymore, but trust me, this is different. I became a new man like Peter Parker became Spider-Man, and I'm going to show you exactly what happened to me and how you can do it even faster. Ready? Turn the page if you are, and let's get to work. All right, see you in chapter 1. Chapter 1. What's love got to do with it? Tina Turner. No relation. Has your wife or girlfriend ever said, let's just get it over with? Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Mercy humps. And let me tell you, I've heard that line from not one but 2 women in my life. The first one, well, she left. And the second, she's my wife of over 10 years now. But believe me, we've had some close calls. Hell, we even did counseling. And yeah, it helped, by the way. But when lover number 2 dropped that let's just get it over with bomb on me, something inside me snapped and I said to myself, Scott, we got to fix this now. In my first thought, the solution had to be simple. Get ripped. If I wanted my wife to want me again, I had to get ripped. It's crazy, isn't it? You've been doing all the right things. You've prioritized kicking ass at your job, making sure you're the provider she can depend on. You've been super dad, driving the kids to soccer, football, basketball, gymnastics, whatever. And yeah, maybe you even found time to date your wife like all the relationship gurus say you're supposed to do. But here's the rub. You let yourself go and now she's just not attracted to you anymore. How's that for a kick in the nuts? It's not fair, is it? Remember your first serious girlfriend back in high school, the one who dumped you? She made that decision long before you knew it was coming. That's how it works. Women don't just leave, they plan, they strategize. Hell, sometimes they stay just for the kids because leaving's too complicated. So here's the million-dollar question. How long have you been on double secret probation? When did that light go out of her eyes? You think just because she's still around, she's still in love with you? Think again, man. Women stick around for a million reasons other than love. She's been giving you chance after chance to change, and you've been blowing it every time. And sure, she didn't explicitly tell you what to do, didn't say you're being tested, but that's women for you. What can I say? I can say this. In my life, I've won and lost the love of a handful of women. And it's all in their eyes, man. That look, that energy exchange. There's nothing like a woman who beams love at you. That light, it's everything. And if you're not careful, you can snuff it out without even realizing it. When you get those love beams coming out of her eyes, hang on to those like your life depends on it, because that's the kind of thing you earn. They don't just hand those out. Now back to my so-called plan. Look, I didn't know what I know now, but at least I knew this. Imperfect action always trumps perfect meditation, so I got to work. No joke. My half-baked master plan to win my wife back was to look good naked. I truly believed that if I could just get ripped, it would fix everything. And here's the thing. I shower once a day, and there's a mirror and a scale right there in the bathroom. So every day I'd work out, weigh myself, and check the mirror to see if I liked what I saw naked. It was naive as hell, but it was simple. And you know what? That's the beauty of it. Simple actually worked. It worked beyond my imagination. Chapter 2, A Bad Plan is Better Than No Plan, Peter Thiel. I had just enough horse sense to realize one thing. It had to be naked. I had to look good naked because, let's face it, the clothing industry's been lying to us since girdles 100 years ago and now Spanx today. Just because you can pull off looking decent in clothes doesn't mean jack shit about getting your body actually ripped. Here's the kicker. Women don't just want abs and biceps. Surprise! They want a hell of a lot more than that. They fall for the guy who listens, who's got character, who's a provider. Yeah, the list is as long as your arm. But here's where it gets interesting. As I started getting ripped, I started unintentionally ticking off those other boxes. Boxes I didn't even know existed, all just from working on getting my body in shape. Look, I never intended to quit drinking, smoking cigars, or ditching nicotine. That was never part of the plan. I never intended to start running in organized races either. Yet here I am at 49, having just completed my first full marathon in training for number 2. I finished number 2, by the way. And I definitely didn't intend to reignite my relationship with God. But guess what? If you don't vibe with anything else I say, hear this. You need God in your life. That's what took me so long to get my act together. Living without God is like trying to swim upstream with weights on your ankles. Sure, people do it, but it's way harder than it needs to be. And trust me, I know. I've lived like that for years. Now let me be clear. I didn't suddenly turn into some button-up, square, nutless dork after I brought God into my life. No, having God is like having an all-access backstage pass to life. Does everything magically turn perfect? Hell no. But the stuff that's been holding you back, the stuff you thought was a mystery, God shines a light on it and makes whatever is wrecking you glaringly obvious so you can actually fix it. Yeah, you still have to put in the work, sorry to say, but now you're not stumbling around in the dark anymore. For me, it all started with something simple. I was motivated to change by sex, vanity, and the fear of losing the love of my life. Yeah, all the wrong reasons. But back then, I didn't know any better. Lady number 1 didn't leave me just because I wasn't in shape. She left me because I was a functioning alcoholic who thought growing pot in the basement was a stellar idea. This was back when you could still get serious jail time for that, by the way. She left me because I wasn't listening to her. And even though I had a few wins here and there, overall, I was complacent. Sure, I was a good person deep down, but I became rudderless. And here's what women want, guys. A man who knows what he wants, knows where he's going, and includes them in the plan. Relationships are a team effort. You can't just go rogue. Bringing home pot plants like it's no big deal, that's going rogue. I put her at risk of going to jail. I could have wrecked her life. I don't blame her for leaving. I was a selfish schmuck. But now I'm operating on a whole new level. You know what kicked it all off? Just deciding to get ripped. No downside. Think about it. What's the worst thing that happens if you don't totally get ripped? You slim down a bit. If she leaves you, well, guess what? You're going to get back in shape anyway so you can attract a new woman. That's what we all do. Women do it too. It's biology. So why not get ripped now on your own terms? Set yourself up for success. That's my 2 cents. Here's what I did. No big announcements, no speeches. I just started going to the gym and running early in the morning, almost every day. I went to bed a little earlier so I could get up and do it. I didn't tell her I was doing it for her or for us. I didn't talk about my plans or my feelings or any of that touchy-feely crap. I just did it. Simple stuff I could stick to daily while handling my responsibilities. Here's what you need to know about women. They say they want to talk about everything, but what really intrigues them? Action. Be a man of action. You know the type, the strong, silent guy who gets shit done. At first I made some gains when I was just interested in getting ripped, but when I went from interested to committed, everything changed. Clarity, focus, spiritual growth, becoming a better husband, friend, son, brother, it all came into sharp focus. And the bad stuff, the booze, the nicotine, it just faded away. I didn't even have to try. Stay tuned, I'll show you how I did it. And let me tell you something, I was hooked on bad habits since I was a teenager. Fake ID at 16, I smoked enough pot to fill 2 trucks, not to mention cigarettes, cigars, nicotine pouches, you name it, I used it. Too much of a pussy for dipping chewing tobacco though. And alcohol? Hell, I've been drinking every day since I was 21. But when I was committed to getting ripped, all that bad shit just fell off like coming in from the cold and shedding off a hat, a scarf, and a heavy jacket. It was that easy. The major gains happened when I transitioned from interested to committed. But the phenomenal gains happened when I let go of alcohol and finally came around to asking God to come into my life. After that, everything changed. And before I knew it, I'd accidentally become someone new. Chapter 3. I'm custom made from head to toe. Woo! Ric Flair. I don't think of it as a new me. I'm another man. This might get a little weird, but bear with me. I answered the call of the motherfucker. You know the voice I'm talking about. That whisper that says, come on, man, we're better than this. And lately, his voice has gotten louder, hasn't it? He's inside every one of us. He's kind of like venom, waiting for us to let him take over. Let me take you back to when I was a student at Virginia Tech. My roommate, Matt, he was a theater major. One night, just before we headed to a bar called Top of the Stairs, Matt suddenly said, I'm gonna act like a badass when I walk in. Just like that, he stands up straighter, puffs out his chest, and struts through the crowd like he's John Cena, Conor McGregor, and Al Capone all rolled into one. And the craziest part, dudes twice his size stepped the hell out of his way. It was surreal. For that brief moment, Matt's motherfucker came out. He was someone else, a version of himself I'd never seen in the 2 years we lived together. But remember Matt, he was an actor, he was a theater major, right? He became a different person temporarily, like he was slipping into a costume. But what if we could become someone else permanently? Here's the thing, I accidentally became another man. I never planned it, but now I realize it's something that we can all do on purpose. That seed Matt planted in my mind took over 25 years to sprout, but once it did, man, I've been watering it and nurturing it into an oak tree. I've cracked the code. I've got the recipe. It's like cooking. If you can read, you can cook, right? Look around. People trade up all the time. Actors, musicians, and even magicians. They step into new characters. David Copperfield, not his real name. He was born David Seth Kotkin. Chris Angel? Nah, that's Christopher Nicholas Sarantakos. Even Harry Houdini? Try Eric Weiss. By the way, Norma Jean Mortensen, yeah, she became Marilyn Monroe. Stanley Burt Eisen and Chaim Witz. Ever heard of a little rock band called Kiss? That's Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons. Robert Zimmerman? Now he's Bob Dylan. Archibald Leach became the suave Cary Grant. And Marion Robert Morrison? Well, you know him better as John Wayne. In case you were wondering about Brad Pitt and Clint Eastwood, those dudes were already born into motherfucker mode. Same goes for Mick Jagger and Keith Richards. Those guys got blessed with cool names right out of the gate. But listen up, because this is key. This quote from Cary Grant is the core principle of my entire program. I pretended to be somebody I wanted to be until finally I became that person, or he became me. Let that sink in. I'll repeat it in bold print because it's just that important. I pretended to be somebody I wanted to be until finally I became that person. These celebrities didn't just change their names, they created characters, larger-than-life versions of themselves that they stepped into. They saw themselves as something greater than the circumstances they were born into, and then they did something about it. That's the power right there. You can do the same. It's not just names. They became something greater than the circumstances they were born into. Here's the good news. You don't have to be an entertainer to get this special pass. It's right there for the taking. If you've got the guts to grab it, I think of it like Peter Parker bitten by that radioactive spider. He didn't just wake up one day a Spider-Man fully formed. No, his powers were revealed to him and he had to figure out how to use them. God gives us all gifts, but he doesn't spell it out for us like Obi-Wan Kenobi on a hologram. No voice speaking from the heavens saying, "Here's your gifts, enjoy yourself." No, those gifts are wrapped tight in the package of your DNA and it's on you to find them and figure them out. I'm convinced 100% that getting ripped is one of the fastest ways to uncover those God-given talents and use them to hit your highest potential. Same thing with Conor McGregor. The guy was a plumber, for crying out loud. I'm a plumber, by the way, if you didn't know. But he figured out how to operate like a prize fighter. Getting ripped is the glaringly obvious vehicle that got him there. Fun fact, fellow MMA legend Chuck Liddell almost became an accountant. From Peter Parker to Conor McGregor, every single one of those legends answered the call of the motherfucker. It wasn't easy for any of them. They struggled, they fought, but they came out better on the other side. And that's what makes their story, right? The struggle and the discovery. Listening to celebrities and rock stars talk about their early days, having the water and the power shut off to their shitty apartments, man, that's the good stuff. Some of those stories are both hilarious and they pull at your heartstrings. The journey was the point. Kid Rock didn't hit it big until almost 30, and in rock star years, that's ancient. And Thomas Edison, it took him 10,000 tries to get the light bulb right. He was actually sent home from school as a kid because his teacher thought he was too dumb. The difference between the folks who make it and the folks who don't is loving the process. The man who learns to love the process cannot be stopped. You've set your intention, but with a loose grip. You're not rigidly attached to the outcome, and you know what you want. You can course correct here and there without flushing the mission down the toilet at the first setback. You're like water. Water cannot be stopped. Water was Bruce Lee's main thing. He was pretty fucking unstoppable. Even Peter Parker had to take time to figure out what he could do with his powers. His web shooters were a disaster, and his first outfit was a freaking hoodie and sweatpants. He had to figure out just how high he could really jump. And could he truly stick to everything, even glass? Like Peter Parker, at first you will work and play with it until the work transmutes into play. Read that sentence again. Well, I'm going to have to read it for you. Like Peter Parker, at first you will work and play until the work transmutes into play. Even though it's convoluted, it's correct. It's kind of like LeBron James loving basketball so much that he showed up at least 2 hours before practice every day. Be honest, do you ever show up to your job 2 hours early? Even once a week? Or even once a month? Nobody loves the process like musicians. Musicians don't call it working music, it's playing music. Even after countless hours of practice, it's still playing. Eddie Van Halen wasn't working his guitar to make those caterwauling sounds no one ever dreamed a guitar could produce. He was playing it out of love for the process. After he made it big, he had a guitar in every room of his house, even the bathrooms. Get it? He didn't quit playing guitar once he had sold 1 million records. He played even more guitar and even expanded into keyboards. I love this stuff, don't you? It's all a part about being the star of our own movie. Every movie worth watching has a hero who answers the call of the motherfucker to do something great. They either step up like Rocky, or guess what? They don't make movies about the ones who stayed on the bench. Fun fact, Rocky didn't even win that first fight against Apollo Creed, and they still made the movie. Why? Because it wasn't about the win, it was about Rocky answering the hero's call and having the guts to go on the journey. Philadelphia even put up a statue for him, a guy who doesn't even exist. Chapter 4, I have the power! He-Man, Masters of the Universe. I'll never forget one morning about a year into my transformation. I was in the kitchen, drinking coffee, staring out of the window. My wife walks up behind me and says, "Good morning, sexy muscle man." I couldn't believe it. I wasn't flexing, I wasn't sucking in my gut. I didn't even know she was there. I turned around and said, "Are you messing with me?" She said, "No, I'm serious, you look good." That moment right there, I planted my flag. I'm never going back. Always Ripped was born right then and there in that kitchen over a cup of coffee. I want that for you, man. And I can show you how to get there. It's simple. But let me stop you before you start rolling your eyes thinking, "Thanks, Scott. Eat right and exercise. Got it. Cool story, by the way." No, listen, man. You need to know something shocking. 80 to 95% of all dieters gain their original weight back. It's a fact, straight out of a study done by the Cleveland Clinic. But no worries, I've cracked the code on that too. And with the information you've got right here, you're never going back. Why do people gain it back? It's not about discipline. It's because they set a goal lose 100 pounds, for example, but once they hit that goal, they revert back into their factory setting. That goal should have just been a benchmark in their new life. They didn't evolve into motherfucker 2.0. They went back to being Bob Roberts when they could have become Bobby Big Deal Esquire MD motherfucker at large, coming soon to a theater near you, you dig? Losing 100 pounds, then gaining it back, it's like hitting a home run and rounding third base only to stop, turn around and start walking back to first. The crowd's pulling out their hair and screaming, "What in the actual fuck are you doing?" You know why they sabotage themselves? Despite the overwhelming evidence provided by a mirror and a scale, these poor bastards still could not comprehend that they were within spitting distance of actually becoming another person. Even though their bodies were completely different, their minds had not changed. Gives a whole new meaning to mind over matter, doesn't it? Pay special attention to this. Losing 100 pounds was a goal. Goals have finish lines. Runners stop running at the finish line, right? Losing the 100 pounds should have been framed from the very first pound these folks lost as a benchmark on their way to being new people. Do you see the huge difference in accomplishing a Herculean task, but with a change in perspective? The problem is that they didn't decide to become new people and engage with their imagination. They need to know who they want to look like with some confirmation from the numbers on the scale. When they look like that person they imagined, they need to acknowledge that moment and celebrate it in order to make it a real event. You can't wait for your wife to pat you on the back. You can't wait for anyone else's validation. That's where I got lucky. I don't need my wife's validation to know that I'm a good man. I shouldn't have needed her validation to realize that I look damn good now. I'm showing you how to have the presence of mind to go the distance and not take any back steps once you make it. It's a tragedy because the folks who lost that 100 pounds caught a glimpse of the person that they could ultimately become and remain on a daily basis. It's the same with people who postpone their happiness with, "I'll be happy when, ... They think that happiness comes when they hit some arbitrary goal, but that's the biggest trap in life we keep falling for again and again. Happiness is doing the work within the transformation. That's why the "I'll be happy when" mindset is bullshit. It's Peppermint Patty pulling the football from Charlie Brown over and over again. The fat guy who thinks he'll magically be happy when he's thin is no different than the hoarder who believes he'll never need another gizmo after that next Amazon shipment arrives. If the fat guy has any presence of mind mixed with a little gratitude, he'll realize his health is improving in a dozen areas he never even considered. His wife actually wants to sleep with him again, not because he's suddenly so damn hot, because she can finally get some sleep herself since his sleep apnea is gone. It's all about counting your blessings and making sure you don't backslide. I truly don't think a caterpillar becomes ecstatic when he turns into a butterfly. I mean, I really don't think he's like, "Holy shit, I'm a butterfly now. Those damn caterpillar days are over. No more of that crawling around on the ground bullshit for me. It's off to the friendly skies, baby." Let's pretend for a minute that a butterfly has a brain like ours. I believe the caterpillar wouldn't even realize how incredible his transformation was until much later in his life cycle. If he could look back and then take stock, the butterfly is just doing butterfly stuff now. Why would he go back and do caterpillar stuff when he's got wings, for crying out loud? Now, I know what you're thinking. "Scott, this butterfly stuff is a bit of a stretch. Caterpillars are designed to become butterflies, no matter how sorry their caterpillar asses are to begin with." Here's my point. You're transforming into a new person every 90 days, whether you like it or not. The cells in your skin, bones, hair, and organs are constantly generating, changing, dying, and regenerating like an old cassette tape. Each new copy of those cells gets a little shittier with each cycle. Slowly but surely, you're morphing, whether you notice it or not. You're literally not the same person you were 90 days ago. Zoom out. Are you the same person you were at 6? How about 16? Are you even the same person you were at 36? You see what I'm getting at? Here's the thing, with the motherfucker on your side, you can assert your will into your aging process. We can either accelerate it or slow it down. Like Tony Robbins said, our lives are either warnings or examples. Take this guy Brian Johnson. You may have heard of him. He created Venmo, so he's got the cash to do whatever he wants. Now, his quest, literally to stop aging and prevent death. This dude's mantra is "don't die." He's spending millions trying to live forever, and he's projected to make it to 200 right now. Biologically, he's in his late 40s. His two main hacks are that he highly prioritizes sleep and the liberal usage of extra virgin olive oil. Oh, and by the way, here's a bit of controversy when it comes to cooking with extra virgin olive oil, or any olive oil for that matter. Some folks swear it's a no-go for high heat. The safest bet, use extra virgin as a finisher for your dishes. Drizzle it on top. Brian swears by it, even gulps down a tablespoon before every meal. And you know what? So do I. Now, since we can consciously slow the aging process and make some sweet gains along the way, like getting ripped, what's the downside? By now, you're probably at that age when the 20 and 30-year high school reunions are rolling around. And trust me, you're going to see some folks who look like they could have been one of your teachers as opposed to your classmates back in the day. Do you want to be in that group? Or do you want to show up looking totally ripped while many of your classmates gained a pound for every year after your graduation? I picked up that fun fact from Robert De Niro's character Max Cady in Cape Fear. In one scene, he confronts Nick Nolte's character and casually mentions he looks about 14 pounds heavier. Cady, fresh off a 14-year prison stint, had an axe to grind with the guy who put him there, and you could feel every ounce of that weight in the way he delivered that line. Let me tell you something about aging and the part we play in it. A close friend of mine just got married and we groomsmen played a round of golf together. My buddy in the cart, who's 5 years younger than me, he kept saying things like, "I'm getting old, Scott, and I'm an old man, Scott." I told him I don't want to hear it. Anyone who chooses to accelerate the aging process is making a mistake. The things you say program your mind. Your subconscious hears it and believes it and starts bringing you exactly what you ask for, whether you mean it or not. Your subconscious speaks broken English, so don't be sarcastic with it or talk about things you don't want. It's like giving directions to a foreigner by only telling them where not to turn. Don't do that. There's no ticker tape parade for the guy who lost 100 pounds. There's no ceremony where he's presented with a plaque declaring him a different human being. It's up to him to wake up and realize he accomplished something amazing. He can't take a single step backward. That guy needs to zoom out, reframe that incredible goal, and turn it into a benchmark for his life, not the finish line. So why would the guy who lost 100 pounds ever go back to doing the same things that made him unhealthy? The answer is twofold. One, his process sucked, and it was agonizing, so he couldn't fall in love with it. And because of that, he didn't let himself enjoy winning on a daily basis. Two, he didn't have a clear vision of what he actually wanted to look like. You're going to get there slowly and methodically, so much so that you won't even realize you've crossed over. It's like this. I do some day trading. A common goal for traders is to make $1 million in profit. I heard one guy say that when he hit it, he didn't feel any different than he was when he was sitting at around 600,000. He was just doing the same thing over and over again. Hitting that million was predetermined, like a plane flying on autopilot from New York to LA. So when he hit that goal, even though a celebration didn't break out, he certainly didn't revert to trading like a beginner. One reason the day trader remained a changed man: community. He had caught the attention of millionaire traders who were coaxing him along. He was keeping company with guys a step ahead of him and operating at the level he aspired to be. Now he's Bobby Big Deal, hanging in with the higher caliber of people. You're the average of the 5 people that you're closest to. Just look at your golf buddies. You all play at about the same level. When you're hanging with rich dudes, it takes money to do what rich dudes do. When you're rolling with the guys who are in shape, it's the same thing. Even if you can't quite put your finger on it, there's a synergy there. You just know it's working for you when you're running with the higher caliber crew. It all begins with your decision to be grateful, to be happy with what you've got while you're working towards becoming the best version of yourself. Do you really think that God's going to bless you more when you're not even grateful for what you already have? Every day, I make sure the first words out of my mouth are thank you, thank you, thank you. I say it loud with intention. Why? Because starting the day with gratitude sets the tone for everything. I learned that one from the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, and it works. Gratitude flips a switch in your mind before the day even begins. Nothing but upside. Try it. Better yet, make it your first daily habit. You can get your first win within 10 seconds of opening your eyes. The always and always ripped means exactly that, at all times on all occasions. Dropping weight for a wedding or some event, that's not the finish line, my man. It's the start of a whole new life. And no, that's not some empty cliche. Always ripped isn't a goal. It's who we are, for good. Remember Superman? He was always super till the very end. Chapter 5, Spelling. Let's talk about the word spelling. Ever stop and think about where certain words originally come from? Their true origins? Speaking words is one thing, but writing them down, that's pure magic. Think about it. Something as simple as a to-do list works like a spell. You scribble down your desires on paper and somehow, some way, they start coming true. That's spelling. The connection between spelling a word and casting a spell comes from the power of words themselves. Both acts involve intention, focus, and a form of creation. When you spell a word, you're not just putting letters together, you're creating meaning, shaping ideas, and expressing thoughts. The phrase casting a spell historically refers to using words to manifest a desired outcome or to influence reality, which is remarkably similar to how writing things down helps shape your personal goals and actions. In both, here's the idea of bringing something into existence. Just like casting a spell in magic channels energy to produce a result, writing things down, whether it's a to-do list, a goal, or an affirmation, can activate your mind and subconscious towards making that thing real. It's the intent behind the words that drives change. The act of writing something can be seen as a kind of magic itself, because once you've written it, you've declared it into existence. In that sense, writing down your goals or desires becomes a way of casting a spell on yourself to bring about real tangible results. If you become nothing more than just a list maker after reading this book, your life will have been transformed. Matthew McConaughey, Oscar winner and professional cool guy, wrote a fantastic book called Green Lights. In it, he talks about writing and journaling a lot. Side note, I'm terrible at journaling, so don't beat yourself up if you're not perfect at it either. He saved his writings throughout his entire life. When he decided to write Green Lights, he dug up an old journal and found a piece of paper where he'd written down 10 life goals. He hadn't looked at that piece of paper in decades, but when he finally did, guess what? He'd accomplished all 10. One of those goals, winning an Oscar. He wrote that before it'd even been in his first movie. That's the magic of writing it down. Spelling. I think we can all agree that our fellow Gen Xer, Matthew McConaughey, more than qualifies for the Always Ripped Club. His secret? In his book Green Lights, McConaughey dropped some serious knowledge on the underrated muscle, the triceps. While everyone's busy flexing their biceps for attention, McConaughey is all about the triceps, believing that's where the real power and definition comes from. He's convinced that that's where it's at, and honestly, you can't argue with the results. I happen to have my own magical version of spelling that was pretty darn similar to McConaughey's. So check this out, I'm a whiteboard guy. Journals don't do it for me because they're out of sight, out of mind. You gotta open them up and flip through the pages to keep on track, and I'm just not consistent with it. But whiteboards, these things stare you in the face. At one point, I found myself completely buried under a mountain of tasks, all the roles I play. Husband, son, business operator, mason, shriner, caretaker for my widowed mom, 2 hours away, now 5 hours away. Vehicles breaking down, home repairs, you name it. Shit, I'm starting to get overwhelmed all over again. Then I came across a tactic from marketing genius Frank Kern. I don't know what he called it, but I call it the barf board. I even draw a little sketch of a head barfing at the top left corner, and then I just let it all out. Stream of consciousness. No filters, no categories, no holding back. Big things, little things, and especially my dreams. We all have things we must do that are getting in the way of the things we would rather be doing. Never forget about the things we want to do either. Barf it all up. It was like throwing up everything on my mind. It was ugly to look at, but once it was all out there, I swear that I physically felt better. Afterwards, I just went about my day. I didn't categorize or prioritize what I had just written. None of that overachiever stuff. I didn't even focus on it daily. It was there, but it was in my peripheral vision, so to speak. I left it all up on that whiteboard for 2 years, and slowly I found myself erasing things here and there as I noticed that they were getting done. The day Lori and I moved to Virginia Beach, I wiped the last item off the board, moved to Virginia Beach. It felt pretty magical, I gotta say. Spelling. It was like the ending to a movie. It was so incredible. If you've got a bit of conspiracy theorist inside you, here's something for you. Ever wonder why slaves could be killed for learning to read or write? Or why in medieval times only clergy were allowed to read the Bible? Reading is receiving information, writing is sending it. And anyone who can't send or receive information is powerless. They can't grow. They're also dependent and subservient. Now that we're free to read and write whatever we want, however much we want, why aren't we all insanely rich, smart, and powerful? Why isn't everyone walking around with the knowledge to change the world? I'll tell you why. It's the 1-2 punch of two big reasons. First, the supply of knowledge has far exceeded the demand for it. There's not enough demand for it anymore because we're way too entertained or distracted. We don't have an education problem, my friend. We have an application problem. Second, it's our self-image. It's all about application. We all know we should eat right and exercise. Thanks for buying this book, but we both know you shouldn't need it. We know what to do, so why the hell aren't we doing it? I believe it's because we're overexposed to options, too many choices. We get stuck trying to figure out the exact perfect thing to do, and in the meantime, we do nothing. That's the intellectual's dilemma. He sits there overthinking it all on his soft, comfy couch, while Joe Blow's out there stacking wins, beginning by taking a walk down a trail on a pretty day. Tony Robbins nailed it. We are starving for wisdom while drowning in knowledge. Side note worth mentioning, I grew up in Southwest Virginia in a place called Martinsville, Virginia. A lot of the guys who lived closer to the county lived on real farms. Every single one of those farm boys was ripped. Why? Lack of options. There were no intellectual dilemmas. Their dads made them all get up early and do stuff on the farm before school. The manual labor they all had to do was non-negotiable. They were all working out before the sun came up. That was their normal. Then they went to football and wrestling practice after school like the rest of us mortals. By the way, just because they didn't wrestle with some intellectual dilemma doesn't mean they weren't sharp. On the contrary, these guys did just fine. Some scored scholarships and one guy even tested out to be a genius. Others, they took over the family farms and turned them into pretty savvy business operations, expanding into ventures that'd make your head spin. All right, self-image. The world needs ditch diggers too. Self-image is formed from how we're raised and it shapes our habits. We can't outperform the image we have of ourselves. If everyone around you works at the plant or digs ditches, odds are you'll follow suit because you haven't seen other images of a future for yourself. What event in your life made you realize that it was possible to have and do extraordinary things? Was it when you went on your first sleepover and saw how wealthy families operated? Was it later on when you were 16 and that one kid rolled up in a brand new Mustang or Corvette while the rest of us were stuck driving our beaters? When what's possible is staring you right in the face, you've got two choices: get depressed or get inspired. Ignoring it? That's just another form of denial, which in my book still counts as getting depressed. So now in our 40s and 50s, we occasionally see that Ferrari on the road, and it breaks our spell that we are under. Driving a Ferrari is normal to that guy, while driving a Toyota is normal to the rest of us. The guy who is driving the Ferrari clearly has an image of himself driving a Ferrari. He is also applying knowledge in a way that the rest of us are not. But here's the deal, it's never been easier to gain knowledge, figure out how to do things, or even just get stuff. Seriously, we live in the easiest era of human history, yet somehow so many people are miserable. It doesn't add up. We have access to an overwhelming amount of information. It's like trying to drink from a fire hydrant. Back when the Bible was the only book around, people were starving for it. Here we are today, drowning in information but starving for wisdom. The real trick, keeping it simple. You can fix everything by internalizing this next piece of information. You can do anything you want. Got it? Anything. But you can't do everything you want. So decide what you really want. Decide who you really want to be. Then write it down where you can see it every day. Cast that spell on yourself. You can't do everything at once, so pick one or two things, something that fits in a single sentence. Confucius said it best, the man who chases two rabbits catches none. That's my focus mantra. If you're chasing two things, make sure that they're in sync, like I'm so happy and grateful that I'm in perfect health and drive a Porsche to a job I truly love every day. It can't be something ridiculous like I'm an astronaut and the point guard for the Chicago Bulls. Keep it real, keep it congruent, or you're just spinning your wheels. But here's the thing, I'll bet you've heard this one before, but did you actually do it? No. Maybe it's time you did. What's the downside? I'm not sitting on pillows smoking doobies and burning incense while I write this. Sure, it might feel a little woo-woo at first, but this stuff is backed by science. It's called psychocybernetics, a proven mental guiding system. If you're really old school, grab a note card and write your goals down. Stick it in your pocket and pull it out constantly. What you write and say to yourself needs to be in present tense. That part's crucial. Yeah, you'll be telling your subconscious a little fib at first because you don't actually have those things yet. But here's the thing, you attract what you are, not what you want. It's an irony, sure, but the trick is to flood your subconscious with new programming until it believes you already have what you're after. Once it feels normal to you, you'll start attracting it naturally. We need to expand what feels normal to us in order to attract it, and it starts by having the habits to dip our toes in the woo. What you say and write is your spell, and it needs to be specific. For example, I'm so happy and grateful that I am a 7-figure trader who lives in Virginia Beach and has X dollars in my checking account. I was saying this for at least a year before we actually moved. Personally, I use an app called Think Up. It lets you record your own voice and layer it over cool music, repeating the spell that you're casting. Whatever you say gets programmed into your subconscious. I fire it up every day when I work out. It costs like $6 a month, worth every penny. I also try to play it as I fall asleep. You can set it to shut off after a short time so it doesn't run all night. My wife and I sleep in separate bedrooms, so this setup works for me better than the traditional marriage arrangement. But don't worry, we know how to find each other. You can set your iPhone to remind you at least 3 times a day of the benchmarks you're pursuing. Keeps it top of mind. But the ultimate in spelling, my friend, is a vision board. Here's the deal with vision boards. They're not just some woo-woo, pie-in-the-sky, kumbaya kind of thing. They're tools. They're powerful ones if you use them right. Imagine walking into a room where the walls are covered with the exact life you want. Everything from the kind of house you live in to the cars in your garage, the places you vacation, right down to the body you want to live in. And I'm not talking about some daydreams. I'm talking about the stuff you see every day in full color staring you down. It's not just visualizing your future, it's creating a roadmap. You want that mansion, the car, that killer physique? You put it on your board because your brain works like a missile-lock system. Once it sees the target, it keeps adjusting and recalibrating it until it hits it. That's psycho-cybernetics, and it's really fun. You're on the hunt now. A dog with a bone, brother. Now here's where it gets interesting. I printed out a picture of my favorite bodybuilder, Frank Zane, but with a twist. Why Frank? You can't miss the guy in a lineup. He won Mr. Olympia 3 times. I like his vibe from his interviews I've seen, but do you really want to know the difference that made the difference? His height. We're about the same height, which makes my brain believe that achieving his physique is totally within reach. It's not some pipe dream, it's actually possible. The twist was that the picture I printed out was of Frank's body with my head on it. Then I pinned it up where I will see it every day. This picture is my North Star of physicality. You absolutely must do this. So let's find your guy. When choosing your guy, his height must be close to yours. That's going to be your edge. If you think your guy is Dolph Lundgren, cool. Lundgren is 6'5", or how about Arnold? Arnold is 6'2". So if you're not that tall, that's totally okay. I guarantee there's a stud out there who's in your ballpark showing you your possibilities. Did you know that Arnold's best friend was 5'5"? His name was Franco Columbu. He was a 2-time winner of Mr. Olympia in 1976 and 1981. Franco went on to be Sylvester Stallone's personal trainer for Rocky II, First Blood, and Rambo. Fun fact, Franco was also stronger than Arnold in the bench press, squat, and deadlift. So here's my question, who's your guy? Who's your man crush? Okay, I'm kidding, but seriously, we all need someone to look up to, someone we vibe with. Trust me, he's out there. If you're clueless on where to start, let's kill 2 birds with 1 stone and grab Arnold Schwarzenegger's Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding. It's literally an encyclopedia, packed with a lineup of bodybuilders, all prime specimens, and they range from 5'4" to 6'5". So your guy's in there somewhere, if you haven't already zeroed in on him. Now, while you're waiting on Arnold's book to show up, Google search top 30 bodybuilders of all time. Trust me, someone in that lineup is going to resonate with you. These legends come in all shapes, sizes, heights, and backgrounds, showcasing the incredible potential that lies within each of us. Your guy is just a click away. It's absolutely crucial that you find your guy. Now, here's a pro tip. Don't plaster that vision board where everyone can see it. It's your vision, not theirs. I don't need some joker walking by with a snide remark about my dreams. I'm not here for anyone else's approval, so I keep it in my office behind the door. When I'm in there, I see it every time I go in. I don't need it hanging over the dinner table for show. It's for me, to keep me locked onto my targets. That's the thing with the vision board. It's not about making anyone else understand it. It's about you knowing deep down in your core that what's on that board is already yours. You just haven't gotten there yet. But you will move the needle in that direction for certain if you do these simple things. Write down what you want and have a picture of it. Simple. Cast the spell and experience the magic happening. If you are fortunate enough to be friends with Tom Cruise, do you know what he'll do for you? He'll cook something for you. Yep. That's infinitely cooler than him telling his assistant to send you some trinket. He takes the time to look at a picture with instructions underneath called a recipe. He obtains the materials and follows the instructions until what is in that picture becomes a reality. And then he gives that thing to you. I use the Tom Cruise story to get your attention. It's true, by the way. When cooking, we're trying to make the dish look like the picture. We have the instructions, but the picture is really the guiding system. Go ahead and print out your picture. Our recipe has only 3 ingredients. Eat clean, train hard, and sleep well. P.S. Printing out the picture with your head on it will most likely be the difference between your failure or your success. Do not skip it. Chapter 6, How to Get Ripped. Okay, you got your guy picked out? You got his picture on your vision board with your head on his body? You did that, didn't you? I'm not messing around here. You have to do it. Great. Now go out and do what he did to get ripped. Seriously, if he's a famous bodybuilder, celebrity, or whatever, there's no shortage of info on how he got there. Start studying your guy if you haven't already. Trust me, I'm not shirking my duties here. I'm guiding you to get ripped and stay that way. This is all part of it. Bear with me. Take Jack Nicklaus, arguably the greatest golfer ever. And who's right on his heels? Fellow Gen Xer Tiger Woods. Guess what? While other boys had posters of Jenny McCarthy or Pamela Anderson on their walls, Tiger had Jack Nicklaus staring back at him. Think anyone in a room full of golf fans knows more about Jack than Tiger? No way. It's a pattern. Jack's idol was Bobby Jones, and when they met, Jack shanked a golf ball right in front of him. Paul Stanley of Kiss? Well, he was just as nervous as you'd be meeting a real live Beatle, Paul McCartney. And the Beatles? Well, they were in awe when they met their idol, Elvis. So yeah, study your bodybuilder. He's probably written a book. Buy it. Watch his YouTube videos. Even Arnold had a hero, Reg Park. Now here's the fun part. When you dive into these guys' philosophies, you'll find that they're all the same but a little different. Arnold trained 6 to 7 days a week, 5 hours a day. His nemesis, Mike Mentzer, did the opposite, training like once every 4 days, eventually graduating his rest periods up to 6 or even 7 days. And he looked insane. Mentzer's approach turned Dorian Yates into a believer. Yates went on to win Mr. Olympia 6 times in the 90s. It's fun to get in the heads of these greats and operate like they did. Watching your body transform will be magical, and soon the work will feel like play. You'll get high from it, and I'm not talking about cheap thrills. This is about hitting higher frequencies of being. My guy Frank Zane, he did a 4-way split. Splits are how most of these guys train. 1 muscle group a day. For example, Frank hit back, biceps, and forearms on Monday. Tuesday was leg day, giving his arms a rest. Wednesday, chest, shoulders, triceps. And then back to legs on Thursday. That's a 4-day split with 3 rest days. Now let's not overlook the fact that we've got brains too. Frank may be my guy, but like Arnold, I thrive on the rhythm of training 7 days a week. Yet I still lean on Frank's split as my sturdy foundation. Why, you ask? Because I crave that daily discipline, that unwavering structure to keep me anchored. 3 days off, to me, that's a slippery slope. I can't afford to backslide, to let the weekend lull me into complacency and risk the uncertainty of returning on Monday. I want my decisions to be made for me in advance, so I never risk waking up feeling rudderless, adrift in a sea of choices. It's like waking up to find my clothes already laid out, which isn't a bad idea either. Oddly, it's in the same dance of discipline that we find our freedom. What's working for me is starting off Monday just like my guy Frank Zane. I kick it off with back, biceps, and forearms. Tuesday, I'm running a considerable distance instead of conventional leg day. Cardio is your buddy. Commit to some running at least once a week and see where it goes. Wednesday rolls in, and it's all about chest, shoulders, triceps, just like Frank. You want to carve out that upper body? Follow the plan. Then comes Thursday, and guess what? It's leg day again. You see the pattern? By Friday, I'm right back into back, biceps, and forearms, just like Frank. I'm also doing ab work on all days. This is my rhythm. It's my routine. If I miss a workout, I just move on and do whatever I'd normally do the next day. I don't stress about making it up. It just throws everything off. That's the normal I've built. It's enjoyable and sustainable. Now let's talk about rest. Simple. Not every single day is all-out intensity. Some days are just light. In my book, earning my check mark for the day means showing up and breaking a sweat. Everything else is extra credit. And weekends? Those are my wild card days. I can run on Saturday for leg day or keep Frank's split cycle going, but here's where it gets interesting. Those days are also perfect for bonding with my wife. Why not check out her world, dive into hot yoga, or tackle a cycling class together? Maybe head somewhere like a beach or a park with a couple of good books. It's the perfect mix of relaxation and connection. And while you're at it, take a walk along the shore or cool off with a swim if you can make it happen in your neck of the woods. My training fits hand in glove with my sleep schedule too. I go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, 7 days a week. Sleep experts say most of us wreck ourselves by staying up late on weekends. Nothing good happens at midnight in your 40s and 50s, pal. Hit the hay. So here you guys have it, a workout routine that's about more than just lifting weights. It took me a while to figure mine out. It's gratifying and interesting with elements of surprise woven into it. So get ready to have a blast as you sculpt and shape your new life. You're about to stumble upon things that work for you, things you never even dreamed possible. You're going to discover that you have superpowers with certain body parts. Keep it clean, dude. Look, take my gym buddy for instance. He looks like your average Joe, right? It's Thursday, leg day, and he's keeping it light on squats. But when he hops on the leg press, boom, he maxes that thing out. That's his normal. And me, I hit my PR, that's personal record, just trying to keep up with him that day. So let's get to the heart of it. Who's your guy? What is it about him that draws you in? There's a good chance he reminds you of yourself in some way. These guys often have standout body parts that set them apart. Take Tom Plants, for example. The man's a legend. He's known as the quad father for his insane legs. And you might be surprised to know Arnold's most admired feature was his back. He understood that, which is why he cranked out 50 pull-ups every single day to showcase it. You've got something in common with your guy too, an edge that you seem to have on everybody else. Follow his lead and you just might unlock your own gifts. There's no magic split. Sorry to break it to you. A mediocre split is better than no split. Think of your splits as frameworks that work for your schedule. Just don't let a day pass where you don't put in any points on the scoreboard. The purpose of a split is to get your ass to the gym to do something. For those days you can't make it to the gym, I highly recommend having a set of 20-pound dumbbells and a jump rope. These simple tools will ensure you never miss a day. The 20-pound dumbbells are substantial but not crazy heavy. You can use them for everything, even squats on leg day. Not only is jumping rope fun, but the list of benefits is as long as your arm. It also promotes lymphatic drainage, helping to remove waste and toxins from your body. That picture of the guy on your vision board with your head on top is your desired outcome. Having that image in your line of sight will influence countless small decisions, steering you in that direction every single day. Most of these choices will happen subconsciously without you even knowing it. Take, for example, a typical morning at 7 a.m. You feel a little hungry, but instead of breaking your fast right away, you choose to pop in a stick of chewing gum and knock out something else until 9 a.m. By being present and making a choice that will get you closer to the guy on your vision board, you didn't interrupt the fantastic work your body was performing, like decreasing insulin levels and cellular repair. When breakfast finally rolls around, you opt for protein-rich scrambled eggs instead of sugary Pop-Tarts. You see where this is going, right? These seemingly simple actions are powerful when compounded throughout your day. Just glancing at that picture every day programs your mind to align your actions with your desired outcome. That guy on your vision board, that's who you're becoming. The image you've placed on your wall represents the person you've decided to be. Your actions will naturally align. That's right, you won't even have to consciously think about it eventually. This will propel you closer to becoming that guy with less effort than you might have thought. You'll become a master of your body, and soon enough, you'll notice your power extending beyond just physicality. Your circle of control will expand, growing into influence, ultimately transforming you into a more powerful individual. That picture on the wall serves as both your desired outcome and your guiding mechanism. When you concentrate on that stud on your vision board, you're steering your life in the right direction through a series of small daily decisions that you may not even consciously recognize. Remember, it's not about one spectacular event like in the movies. It's about stacking up win after win by making the right small decisions consistently. It's base hit after base hit, not one grand slam home run that magically transforms you into someone else. By placing a picture of your head pasted onto your dream body on the wall, you've made a decision about who you want to become. This visual cue will help align your actions, propelling you toward becoming that guy. That picture represents the wish fulfilled. Just seeing that guy every day is going to influence countless small daily decisions that will snowball into drastic changes for you, brother. I promise. Soon you will become the master of your body. You'll find your influence growing beyond just fitness, making you a more powerful individual in every aspect of your life. Chapter 7. Which way is the gym? Chris Farley from Tommy Boy. Remember that? All right, if you haven't stepped into a gym since Jesus was a little boy, then it will feel daunting at first. But no worries, I got you. First things first, go join a gym. Just a regular gym, one with expansive hours and a broad assortment of equipment. Keep it simple. Sure, CrossFit and Jiu-Jitsu might be calling to you with their siren songs, but you need to tell them not right now. That's master's degree stuff. We're starting with the basics, like enrolling in community college. A conventional gym with expansive hours is crucial. We need to carve out time for you to work out daily. While other types of fitness and martial arts are tied down to scheduled classes, you need the freedom to hit the ground running. So right now that gym needs to be always available to you. So you've joined a gym, great. Now it's time to get some gym clothes. Seriously, invest in some gear that makes you look the part. Bill Burr said that when he wears a suit, he wants to go take over some shit. When you look the part, you'll feel the part. Don't be that joker showing up in jeans or pajama pants. And let's be clear, your old sweatsuit isn't going to cut it either. It's not 1987 anymore. I know we're not all made of money, but a $12 to $20 monthly gym membership is practically nothing. And places like Walmart now carry workout clothes from reputable brands. I don't care if you actually work at Walmart. You can swing this. I know firsthand because I've actually worked there myself. Just try on those gym clothes and you'll feel the transformation starting to happen before you even lift your first dumbbell. I promise. So you're at the gym nice and early, rocking your new duds. Now what? First and foremost, let's get one thing straight. Gym-intimidation is a myth. There's absolutely nothing to be nervous about. Ever heard of the 80-20 rule? It's also known as the Pareto principle, and it states that 80% of outcomes come from 20% of causes. It's kind of like this. A car dealership knows that 80% of their sales come from the top 20% of their sales team. On the other hand, 20% of the sales come from the bottom 80% of the folks who make up that same team. You get it? You can apply the 80-20 principle to practically everything, including your gym experience. So when you walk into the gym feeling like an imposter despite your fresh gear, squash that thought by taking a good look around. You'll notice that you're actually at home. 80% of the people in there are just like you. Good people seeking to improve themselves. Sure, you might spot some buff specimens here and there, but don't fear those guys for 1 second. In fact, they're typically the nicest, smartest people in the room. You just might be shocked to learn their origin stories. So I want you to really hear me right here. I've thought to myself, how would I feel if I were a really fat man arriving at the gym on day one? Here's what I'd do. I'd get there super freaking early, whether I was fat or not. I've got my plan. It's Monday, and I know my split will be back, biceps, forearms, and abs every day. Cool. I haven't touched a dumbbell in 30 years, but I know what Monday is all about. Honestly, the very first thing I would do is go to the back of the gym and hop on a treadmill. Just walk on it for about 10 to 15 minutes. You need that time to pat yourself on the back and take in just how far you've come. Be in this moment, brother. Walking the treadmill will buy you some time to gather yourself. You're at the back of the gym where all the treadmills and all the gyms are typically located. You can see the lay of the land while actually burning some calories. 10 to 15 minutes is plenty of time to scan the place and see where the leg machines are, where the arm machines are, etc. You can watch people using the equipment, which will also help put you at ease about figuring out what body parts to start working. Your 15 minutes are up. Ding, ding! Time to hop off the treadmill and go to your first machine. You've been watching some folks and you've got an idea of what some of these gizmos do, but you've still got a couple of butterflies in your stomach. You walk up to what looks like a bicep thingy, but wait, what is that? Why, on the machine in plain sight is a very intuitive picture of exactly what body parts you will be working when you hop on the machine. The clouds are parting and angels are singing for you as you now have clarity. And by golly, is that a QR code? Yep. Just scan the QR code with the camera function on your phone and a freaking video will pop up demonstrating exactly how to use that machine. Sweet! You are here today for back, biceps, forearms, and don't forget those abs. Nothing more. You're only hopping on the machines that have pictures of those body parts. Simple. Congratulations! You are on your first machine. Your new life has just begun. Please don't screw it all up by loading up ridiculous amounts of weight. This is more common than you think. I personally know 2 people who hurt themselves on day 1, never to return. Tell your ego to have a nice warm cup of shut the hell up and lift light. My advice, lift so light that your wife could do it. You are not showing up Monday with expectations of waking up totally ripped on Tuesday. When you showed up for your job on the first day, what was that called? Training. You are not expected to be, know, or do anything for a little while. Don't try to be a superstar on day 1. It's foolish and it's disrespectful to the people who have been showing up every day for years to see you thinking you can do sit-ups with a 45-pound plate on your chest. Just take your time and figure out where things are and what they do. I'm still discovering cool exercises all the time just from exposure to other people in the same space. Proximity is power. Oh, and don't forget gym etiquette. Wipe down the equipment you just used before moving on to the next machine. All right, see you tomorrow for leg day. Way to go, brother. Chapter 8. You can't out-train a bad diet. Confucius. Actually, it's an old adage. Nobody knows who made that up. But it's true. I got some good news for you. You don't have to lift a single dumbbell in order to lose lots of weight. You can do it all with your diet. I know a lady who lost 100 pounds when she stopped drinking soda. She swore that she made no other changes. Diet alone won't get you ripped, but I hope I have your attention. It's kind of like we're all generals who are fighting a war on 2 fronts, building muscle and losing fat. Let's learn how to use our secret weapon, the ketogenic diet. All right, let's talk about why we're embracing a keto-based diet to get ripped. Spoiler alert, it's not just a trendy buzzword, it's basically been our operating system since the dawn of time. Seriously, before sugar and industrialization crashed the party and shoved carbs into the spotlight, our ancestors thrived on a diet rich in fats, proteins, and veggies, of course. I live in the biggest city in Virginia, and what does every big city have that small towns don't? Plenty of kick-ass restaurants. The ketogenic diet enables me to be a foodie without being a fatty. Think about it for a second. Before the 20th century, if you were a fat guy, you had to be wealthy. It was a badge of affluence. Fast forward to today, and you'll find that even the most cash-strapped among us can pack on the pounds. How did we get here? The short answer, industrialization. Cheap food is everywhere, and boy, it's sure easy to get. Order a pizza to your door or stalk a deer. Take your pick. Any dude making minimum wage can afford to be fat when he's young, but it's a totally different game when he's old and fat. The crap he's been eating is still affordable, but what's not affordable is how he's positioned himself to be a burden to all his loved ones and our healthcare system. His entree of obesity comes with side dishes of additional maladies like type 2 diabetes, heart disease, colon cancer, sleep apnea, osteoarthritis. And the list goes on, and he can get away with his shitty lifestyle for about the first 40 years of his life. And then all of a sudden, well, here we are. So if you're reading this, then you're likely at that fork in the road. Let's take the right path, brother. The food industry has mastered the art of temptation. They have figured out how to make their products not just convenient, but downright irresistible. Junk food, sweet yet salty, crunchy yet creamy. It tastes so damn good, it actually activates your brain's reward system, flooding your system with dopamine, a little chemical high that makes every bite feel like it's a victory. It's like a culinary Game of Thrones, where every bite is practically orgasmic for your taste buds. Meanwhile, a banana, bless its heart, tastes like the same from start to finish. It's an uphill battle competing with junk food. That's why we have to outsmart it. This is the same reason that a fat guy is fighting the same battle as a drug addict. I've had a fat man with mobility issues beg me to go to the store and get him ice cream with tears in his eyes. So I get it. It's not funny. Having said that, fatties need to give up the sweets just as bad as crackheads need to drop the crack. Fun fact, brain scans of crackheads hitting a rock look identical to obese individuals getting sweets. It's a stark reminder that when it comes to pleasure and cravings, whether it's ice cream or crack, they're activating the same neural circuits, leading to similar struggles with addiction and compulsion. All right, the horse is dead, buried, and gone to heaven, so I'm going to try and stop beating it. My point is this: even if our parents got us hooked on this junk food as kids because they didn't know any better, it's up to us to right the ship. What we put in our mouths is 100% our responsibility from here on out. But here's the good news. As the always ripped motherfucker that we are, we're not condemned to a life of celery and chicken breasts. No worries. We can indulge in plenty of tasty food and enjoy epic dinners with our wives and loved ones without sliding back into Bob Roberts. We absolutely must look at how we eat through a new lens if we want to successfully launch this new life of ours. Here's the deal. You can't out-train a bad diet. It's as true as the fact that bacon is delicious. I've seen guys at the gym who've been grinding away for a year but aren't getting anywhere. You know what's holding them back? Their diet. They might be running and lifting, but if they're still chowing down on junk, then it's like driving with one foot on the brakes and one on the gas. I know this firsthand. I've been working really hard trying to get my abs, and I distinctly remember voicing some frustration. Then Lori patted my stomach and she said she could feel them down under there. I realized that, holy shit, I did in fact have abs. It's just that they were covered up. I could do sit-ups till the cows came home, but I was never going to see my sought-after six-pack until I could remove the layer of fat obscuring them. That layer of belly fat was like laying a comforter over top of a waffle mattress. Okay, time to zoom out, all right? I've been kicking some ass, getting up early, meditating, working out, running, and even drinking lots of water. Honestly, my diet has never been awful. I even have a great relationship with veggies. Ain't scared. I had made noticeable gains in my muscle definition and could run longer without rest and water breaks as well, but I still had some stubborn fatty areas around my stomach despite doing daily ab work. It doesn't make sense. What could it be? Sherlock Holmes says, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. My diet was the only variable left. We all got to eat, right? So I knew I had to find a way to eat what was both enjoyable and beneficial to getting ripped. Loving the diet had to be congruent with loving the process. By this point, I'd come around to finding working out and running fulfilling, but I wasn't ripped yet. It had to be the diet. What could I eat that could check the following boxes? Had to be healthy, delicious, fat-burning yet muscle-building. I found that the ketogenic diet checked all those boxes for me. Delicious is crucial. The new life, working out, it needs to be fulfilling on the other side of it, not torture. Eating should be enjoyable and natural, not just another diet plan. This is how we fall in love with the process and stick to it. This is how I eat now, forever. It's not how most folks think of a diet. The word diet actually comes from the Greek word dietia, which means way of life. With regards to the guy who lost 100 pounds and gained it back, the whole thing, working out included, was just a diet to him, which made his brain think it was a temporary thing that he had to push through in order to come out on the other side of being thin. He never stood a chance because he never realized that training hard and eating clean were supposed to be his way of life. It's not a damn diet. At least it's not the diet he believed it to be. Here's the problem with the word diet. The problem with the word diet is that when it's used as a verb, it's mostly in a restrictive sense. To diet means to limit yourself, to deprive yourself. That's how we've been programmed to think about it, and that's why so many people dread even starting. From the get-go, the idea of dieting carries the weight of misery, hunger, and temporary suffering, like a punishment rather than a sustainable way of living. Diet as a noun is this definition: the kinds of food that a person, animal, or community habitually eats. Example, a vegetarian diet. Diet as a verb. It is to restrict oneself to small amounts of special kinds of food in order to lose weight. This is why the vast majority of people fail. They see diet as something they have to do for a little while rather than a way of life. They grit their teeth, they suffer through it, and hope they'll come out on the other side as a thin person who can finally eat normally again. But normal eating is what got them into trouble in the first place. If you approach your nutrition as a temporary struggle, you're doomed from the start. The only way to win is to stop dieting altogether and adopt a better way of life. Diatia. Let's avoid that four-letter word, at least in the beginning. When your paradigm shifts and you start eating clean habitually on autopilot, then you'll truly know it to be your diatia. Words are powerful. I don't know how it all got twisted, but in order for us to succeed, we can't operate like the masses. Instead, let's do some spelling. Remember? So bear with me here. Think of this. Bob actually lost fat and gained muscle in his 50s by working out regularly and eating a ketogenic diet. Or how about this? Jennifer's gluten-free diet helped heal her intestinal lining and resolve other symptoms of celiac disease. This is an excellent spot for a disclaimer. Please consult your physician. A ketogenic diet is not appropriate for everyone. If you're a vegetarian or a vegan, more power to you. But here's the catch. You actually have to eat real vegetables. There's a ton of junk out there that masquerades as vegan food. Take Oreos, for example. Yep, they're technically vegan. Did you know that? Many vegans choose the plant-based lifestyle for noble reasons, and let's not forget the health benefits that come with it. But here's the exciting part. Some vegans are flipping the bodybuilding world upside down, dominating competitions, and proving that you don't need animal proteins to pack on muscle. They're showing everyone that a plant-based diet can lead to serious gains. If you're serious about going vegetarian or vegan, I highly recommend checking out Nimai Delgado. I double dog dare anyone to tell him he can't get enough protein from plants. This guy's a powerhouse. His story is fascinating. He grew up in Mississippi, raised by Hare Krishna parents, and has never tasted meat in his life. Go check him out. Let's not forget the trailblazers who paved the way. One of the original vegan bodybuilding pioneers is Jim Morse, an African-American born in 1935. Then there's vegetarian Virender Singh Guman, an Indian professional bodybuilder and actor who won Mr. India in 2009 and also snagged second place in Mr. Asia. These guys prove that you can thrive on a plant-based diet and still dominate in the bodybuilding world. It's a commitment to a vibrant, fulfilling life and not just a diet. So whether you're diving into keto, exploring plant-based options, or finding your unique balance, the key is to stay dedicated to eating clean. Our diet's purpose is simple. Lose fat, add muscle. I honestly don't feel that the way I eat is special or restrictive. Here's some simple guidelines that I follow inspired by journalist, author, and professor Michael Pollan. Eat local. Focus on foods that are grown in my community. Choose healthy foods. Prioritize whole foods that are nutritious and beneficial for my health. Great-grandmother's recognition. This is a good one. Opt for foods that our great-grandmothers would have recognized as real food. They're not going to recognize Smurfs and leprechauns and shit. Avoid processed foods. Steer clear of anything that is heavily processed or contains artificial ingredients. Support local farmers. Buy fresh produce and other goods from our local farmers market. Look at just how simple this is. Simple succeeds. The ketogenic diet is a low-carbohydrate, high-fat eating plan designed to shift the body's metabolism from burning glucose for energy to burning fat. By drastically reducing carbohydrate intake and replacing it with healthy fats, the body enters a state known as ketosis. In this metabolic state, the liver converts fat into ketones, which serve as an efficient energy source for the brain and the body. A ketogenic diet not only aids in weight loss, but also offers numerous health benefits, including improved mental clarity, increased energy levels, better control of blood sugar and insulin levels. Foods we typically consume on a keto diet include avocados, bacon and eggs, nuts and seeds, healthy oils and fatty fish like olive oil and salmon, low-carb veggies while avoiding grains, sugars and starchy foods, cheese, meat, leafy greens, butter or ghee, dark chocolate, and berries. In other words, regular delicious stuff. It's simple. Nobody's suffering over here. Here's an example of what we can eat in a day. For breakfast, scrambled eggs and bacon with spinach and cheese. Half an avocado on the side. I'm probably going to eat the whole thing. Doesn't matter. Black coffee or herbal tea. Optional, add some heavy cream. Snack, handful of mixed nuts, almonds, walnuts, and pecans. Lunch, Grilled chicken, salad, mixed with greens, cucumbers, olives, and feta cheese, dressed up with some olive oil and vinegar, a small serving of low-carb vegetables like broccoli or zucchini. Dinner, baked salmon or ribeye steak with a side of sautéed asparagus in olive oil. Cauliflower rice or mashed cauliflower is a low-carb alternative to grains. Dessert, yeah, we get to eat dessert. You can have a small serving of sugar-free gelatin with a few berries with whipped cream made from heavy cream, or just straight vanilla ice cream, man. Beverages, water, sparkling water, or herbal teas throughout the day. You'll need to drop the soda. Straight up, drop the fucking soda. Remember the lady who lost 100 pounds by just dropping soda. Nothing else. Remember her. True story. How fortunate that all this stuff is delicious, especially those ribeye steaks. As you grow into this lifestyle, you're going to pick up all sorts of hacks and tweaks. I really want you to start geeking out here. For example, did you know that eating onions are a natural way for increasing testosterone? Are you interested in hanging on to your hair? Hair is primarily made from protein, keratin, so it's essential to include adequate protein in your diet. Lucky for us, while we're eating for muscle, the side effects are helpful for our hair too. Look, I wasn't born into knowing that a tablespoon of ketchup has more sugar than a jelly donut. By the way, mustard has 0 calories. Choose mustard. This knowledge has come through loving the process and geeking out. I'm constantly mixing up shakes and creating dessert hacks because it has to taste good. I truly love what I eat now. Yes, we all love Ben & Jerry's, and I still treat myself to some once a week or so because I've earned it. Side note, can't help it here, but I don't hold back whatsoever at my family gatherings or holidays. Forget that. I've been doing right all year long, and when I see the dishes that my loved ones made from scratch, I'm all in. Take notice of some of the overweight folks at these functions. Whatever, pal, you might as well at this point. You've been saying yes to double dosing on those waffle fries from Chick-fil-A all year, and now you can't have Uncle James's homemade apple pie with vanilla ice cream? That's ass backwards, don't you think? Geek out, my friend. Get interested like when we were kids. I'm constantly trying new stuff to see what's good for me and tastes good. It's out there and it's not hard to find. For example, I found that mixing a little dash of beet powder into my athletic greens drink every morning helped make it taste pretty damn good. I discovered a product called Puddin', described as a decadent protein pudding mix, kind of tastes like ice cream if you freeze it. Yeah, get crazy. You're actually going to be hard-pressed to find protein powders that have no flavor at all, much less taste bad. Because I'm dubious of things that taste super sweet, I originally figured I'd get some flavorless protein powder and use my old beet powder trick, but nope. Everything is dark chocolate this and strawberry cheesecake that. You'll see. I just had to go with it, and now that protein shake at the end of my workout is like being rewarded with a chocolate milkshake. Except it's good for me. I can hardly believe that this tasty thing I'm chugging is actually compounding my workout results. Rewarding ourselves frequently is all a part of the plan. Remember, we aren't waiting on someone else's approval or validation that we're kicking ass. We absolutely must be our own validators. Now that we know what to eat, our edge for being always ripped is knowing when to eat it. The fancy folks call it intermittent fasting. Basically, our bodies perform better if we aren't constantly giving them food to digest. Think about it. Our bodies need food for energy, right? Then why do we feel so tired after eating a big meal? We should be like Super Mario after grabbing a mushroom, but we're the exact opposite. The trick is prolonging the periods between these awesome meals that we're now eating for maximum effect. Actually, the ancients already figured it out for us. Ever wonder why they call it break fast? We are breaking a fast with the first meal of our day, which is typically in the morning. The period between your dinner and the next day's break fast is your intermittent fasting period. How long should you go? Somewhere between 12 and 16 hours is a pretty sweet spot. It's not even that hard because we're sleeping through the lion's share of that time. So check this out. Let's stop eating around 6:30 p.m. Let's also try not to drink anything either. If we keep drinking water, tea, etc., we'll probably wake up in the middle of the night to pee. We don't want that because it disrupts our sleep, which is bad. We'll dig into sleep later on. So we're sleeping somewhere around 9 to 10 p.m. until 4 to 5 a.m. We wake up to coffee and water. We're starting our day by putting something into our bodies, but coffee and water will not break the fasting state. Meanwhile, our bodies are taking care of some serious business while we fast, such as decreasing insulin levels, autophagy, which is cellular cleansing, hormonal changes that enhance fat burning and muscle preservation, improving mental clarity, reducing inflammation, and ketosis, which is fat burning. This is a key reason why we work out in the mornings. Going straight into a morning workout is the most optimal way to extend the fast. By working out, we take our minds off of eating. Arnold trained on an empty stomach. He has always believed that we could do the morning workout on our fat reserves, and it's been working for me. So somewhere around 9 to 10 a.m., sure, it's breakfast time. I'm not suffering at all, and neither will you. You can do this. It's not rocket surgery. From here on out, just remember, every time you feel hungry, that's fat burning, brother. Chapter 9, The Lion and the Monkey. If you have begun to think of living your life in terms of being sober, that most definitely means that alcohol has played too large of a role for far too long. It shouldn't even be a question. Does a lion operate as a sober lion? No, he's just doing lion stuff. Do you know what other mammals get drunk on purpose? Monkeys. Some monkeys know how to pick out fermented fruit that'll get them drunk. So which would you rather be, a lion or a fucking monkey? In terms of getting ripped, I gotta tell you, the last of my stubborn fat melted away when I let go of booze for good. The stubborn belly fat, that lower back fat, that baby fat around my jawline, poof, gone. Why on earth would you wait to hit rock bottom to let go of drugs and alcohol? Why would you go to meetings and continuously call yourself an alcoholic or a drug addict when an alcoholic or a drug addict is exactly who you don't want to be? With respect, I just think my way is far more empowering than some of these other philosophies and practices. At some point, I began hearing the motherfuckers' whispers about letting go of drinking. I wasn't sure how to go about it at first, so I looked up where the nearest AA meetings were being held in my area, and turns out they were running meetings in a spot within walking distance from my house. So I had a plan B at least. Luckily, with all the benefits that came from getting ripped, I never needed it. Are you telling me you'd rather wait until you wreck your car and have to go to trial with DUI charges to quit drinking? Do you think those are optimal circumstances to change yourself into that super stud on your wall? Sure, it's possible, people have done it, but to intentionally wait for this type of moment is practically manifesting that shit, and that isn't too smart. After I had begun running and working out on a consistent schedule, I had gotten to the point where there was virtually no beer in the house. Liquor had been long gone by that point. That's not nothing, but booze wasn't totally done with me. He's a crafty bastard. When I'd go out to eat or head over to a friend's house to watch some football, it was game on. One night I found myself dining solo in a restaurant, toasting the arrival of my first truckload of belongings to my new digs in Virginia Beach. I kid you not. I fainted right there in the middle of the restaurant, all thanks to an ice cream headache from devouring that sundae. What preceded the ice cream sundae were 2 martinis. Picture this, I was attacking that sundae like a freaking bear into honey, and then lights out. Somehow I managed to stay in my chair, but my head was on the floor. I pulled myself up, looked around at the sea of wide-eyed patrons and asked, what happened? The whole place was staring at me. And then the manager strolled over, cordless phone in hand, asking me to chat with the 911 operator. In that moment, it hit me. It was the ice cream headache, and I told the operator just that. But after a brief recovery, I realized that I had received my sign from God. Throughout my adolescent life, I've danced with drunkenness, both the wild and the woeful. I've endured hangovers that felt like medieval torture, had my share of one-night stands, and thankfully very few fist fights, but way too many arguments too. I made a choice. My rock bottom wasn't a place, it was a time. I was closer in age to 50 than 40, and I had ridden every ride in the park. With no booze in my house, I created a stark contrast between how my mind, body, and soul operated. Reintroducing it on the weekends created a roller coaster effect. 5 steps forward with 2 giant leaps backwards. I perceived my head hitting the floor as my dope slap from God, so I decided I was letting go. You don't have to announce it on a YouTube video like I did, but I believe that you need to say that you're letting go of whatever it is, whether it's booze, drugs, nicotine. Say it out loud. Nobody needs to be around, you just need to say it out loud. You can do it in your car if you want. There's magic in it, there's nothing but upside. So let's take a little detour for a second, a fun one. Who's your favorite Beatle? Mine's George, by the way. How come nobody asks who your favorite Eagle is? Well, mine's Joe Walsh. Joe was a wild one for sure, and he successfully kicked drugs and alcohol in 1994 when the Eagles reunited for the When Hell Freezes Over tour. The money was a nice motivator because in order to hit the road with the band, he was required to go to rehab. But he already had money. He had plenty of money. So what made Joe clean up his act? Coincidentally, around that time, Joe's motherfucker had been whispering to him that it's never going to be enough. No matter what, there's never going to be enough vodka. There's never going to be enough Coke. He shared this epiphany in an interview that I was lucky enough to catch on YouTube somewhere. And when I heard him say it will never be enough, it really resonated with me and ultimately helped me to let go of booze. I discovered that letting go is far easier than quitting. The good news, my friend, is that you've already been doing it throughout your life already, all right? Back when we were kids, did we actually decide to quit collecting baseball cards or comic books? No, we were just skateboarding a little more and a little more with our buddies, and we simply became skaters is all. We just let go of collecting baseball cards and comics by shifting our focus onto something else. There was no anxiety or pain, we just moved on to something else. If you aren't even thinking about smoking or drinking, then wouldn't it be fair to say that your attention has been shifted elsewhere? The answer is yes. That's rhetorical. All right, you simply cannot miss or yearn for something you're not thinking about. So where is our attention when we've committed to being always ripped? We have integrated working out and running regularly. We are geeking out on how our chosen guys got so ripped so we can do the same things. We've begun eating the foods that will compound our workouts to melt fat and add muscle. We are guiding ourselves one small decision at a time to become that stud on our vision board. We are also killing it professionally and showing up for our families. When you do more good stuff, you have no choice but to do less bad stuff. In the 7 spiritual laws of success, Deepak Chopra said, whatever you put your attention on grows, while what you ignore fades away. This integration is subtraction of bad stuff through addition of good stuff. If you and I were working together, I'd have you on a program where your day was laid out. I don't care what your vice is. You won't hear me harp about it. What I'll harp on is whether or not you got the stuff done that we talked about for today. If you had time to get in your workout, meditation and reflection, earn a living, and keep up with your familiar responsibilities, then you won't hear a peep from me if you manage to squeeze in getting drunk or high. No judgment. We're going to just keep integrating the same positive things every day, and guess what? Something's going to get pushed out. You're naturally going to start doing less of the bad stuff. You simply can't do everything every day. Something will naturally fall off. The best part is I won't have to give you any shit like a drill sergeant. I won't have to. You'll start rethinking those cigarettes all on your own when it comes time to run on Tuesday. The next trick is one I learned from my wife's 94-year-old grandmother. Granny was Pa's primary caregiver a few years back before he passed. He had dementia, and his after-dinner beers weren't doing him any favors. One day she told Lori and I, Pa quit drinking, but he doesn't know it yet. Whenever Pa had a beer, Granny always served it to him in a koozie. The koozie obscured most of the beer can, so one day she began substituting his favorite beer with its non-alcoholic NA version. He didn't catch on for months, and by then he didn't care. The placebo effect is alive and well, I gotta tell you this. I've got great news for you. You don't have to wait for someone to pull the wool over your eyes and switch out your brewskis when self-imposed placebos are just as effective. That's right. People knowingly take placebos for things like pain, depression, and anxiety. So you can just do it yourself. So here's the deal. If you want to let go of drinking, if you're a liquor drinker, switch to beer immediately. Drink beer for a while, and then we're going to start swapping out some of those beers for the non-alcoholic versions until you're eventually done with drinking the regular beers. I still have non-alcoholic beers in my fridge to this day. Most of our drinking happens at night, right? Decaffeinated teas are terrific in the evening. So if you were in my program in the evening, an hour or two before bed, let me ask you, did you have your favorite NA beer along with your favorite cup of tea? All right, so that's 2 beverages you have to drink first. If you chug down a couple more brewskis after that, well, that's just not long-term sustainable. Something will have to give. Getting up to pee in the middle of the night, that's going to get old, and with 4 beverages, that's just a lot of work, don't you think? So I gotta ask you this, if you were traveling down a highway, would you deliberately take an exit that leads you to the ghetto? Drugs, alcohol, vaping, and all forms of nicotine are vices, distractions that pull you away from your true purpose. Engaging in these vices is not in alignment with your desired outcomes. They are toxic distractions with deadly consequences. Deciding to get fucked up when things are going badly for you is like taking the off-ramp to the ghetto on purpose. Align your actions with the outcomes you desire. Let's be real. Many of the decisions we make aren't going to be on autopilot, even after you have the image of your guy on your vision board. You've got to step up and take control, especially when faced with negative desires. Take, for instance, the guy who finds himself jerking off way too much. When the urge strikes, instead, should he try to do something thoughtful for his wife? It could be as simple as sending her a sweet text or picking up a small gift. Better yet, plan a date night. Stay on the interstate. And if you're feeling the urge to drink, here's a game changer. Do some burpees. Seriously, you can sneak away from almost any situation and knock out 20 or 30 burpees. It's a fantastic way to relieve stress and redirect your energy. Running is another powerful tool to combat the urge to drink or use drugs. Sure, it's not always convenient, but when the opportunity arises, seize it. The best part, you're literally running towards your strengths when the going gets tough. Stay on the interstate. When we've been conditioned to reach for a drink when life gets rough, what do we do when we celebrate? Break out the champagne. That outdated programming isn't our fault, but you're awake now, my friend. It's your responsibility to keep your actions aligned with your desired outcomes, especially when things are bad. That's how you know who you are. It's easy to stay on track when there's no adversity. Stay on the interstate. Use your head and your tools. This won't be torture like we've been programmed to believe. Non-alcoholic beers, wine, and champagne are wonderful placebos. Use them. Estimates suggest that the non-alcoholic beer market alone could reach around $25 billion by 2025, driven by increasing consumer demand for healthier lifestyle choices. We're not alone. Non-alcoholic beer and wine, moderate alcohol consumption is effective, and it's nothing new. Fun fact, did you know that non-alcoholic beers have been around since the early 1900s? That's right, the first commercial non-alcoholic beer hit the shelves in Germany back in 1900s. But here's where it gets interesting. During Prohibition in the United States from 1920 to 1933, breweries had to get creative in order to survive. So what did they do? They cranked up the production of non-alcoholic alternatives. They cleverly kept the taps flowing while the booze was on lockdown. Constraints lead to innovation. Adversity will reveal your true character when temptation knocks at your door. These moments are tests. The decisions we make throughout the day are like quizzes. Sure, you might stumble on a quiz now and then and even fail a test, but that doesn't mean you still can't pass the class. Don't beat yourself up for the occasional slip-up. Instead, consciously decide to pass every new test that comes your way. We know that we're going to be tested every single day. We are all human. Nobody bats 1,000. We all screw up. I heard it best from Joel Osteen. I believe that he just might be the greatest speaker alive right now. The talk I recall him giving was about when someone falls off the wagon, and Joel said, God is driving that wagon. He's not going to leave without you. When you fall off, just dust yourself off and hop right back on. Hey, let's talk about all things nicotine now. To quit smoking cigarettes, cigars, and dipping, your best bet is to use nicotine patches, regularly chewing gum, and hard candies. My go-to hard candy was Werther's Originals. They even make a sugarless coffee-flavored version. This approach aligns with how we fade out drinking. Nobody's telling you how much or how little to smoke. Just start by wearing the patch first. Integrate the patch along with the chewing gum and hard candies. Don't chew gum while you smoke, just when you're not smoking. You will smoke less and less. Remove the patch at night about an hour or two before you go to bed. That's crucial. There is no perfect, effortless system for letting go of smoking, but I'd say this is as good as it gets because this is going on while you're getting ripped, so your odds of success are pretty damn high if you just get yourself some patches, candies, and gum. It's simple. We succeed with simple. If your patch has a high dose of nicotine and you smoke, it could get pretty damn uncomfortable. So don't throw in the towel if you get squirrely from too much nicotine too quickly. Just keep at it until you figure out what you can operate on. There is a level you can operate on, so don't give up. You can figure it out like knowing how much salt to put on your food. You can take the patches off and pull them back on later, or you can even cut them in half. Just stick with it and figure it out. It's worth it. When you finish your box of nicotine patches, you can either get another one or step down to a box with a lower dose of nicotine. Once you've gone through a box with the lowest dose, it's the same. Either run it back and get another box or just keep rocking out with the hard candies and gum, like having the training wheels removed from your first bike, right? By the time you're on the lowest 7 milligram patch, you'll likely find yourself forgetting to put the thing on in the morning sometimes. That's a pretty good sign that you've kicked tobacco's ass. Congratulations on stopping smoking and vaping. But if you're still using nicotine pouches, keep pushing forward. We all know cocaine is bad, right? Well, to me, nicotine is kind of like microdosing cocaine. Nicotine is classified as a poison for a reason. Yes, it acts as a stimulant that can help you concentrate, and when you take it and get some work done, you might feel like you're on top of your game, but that temporary boost comes at a cost. Vasoconstriction. In other words, it constricts your blood vessels, which is bad news for your circulation, your heart, and your stamina. Don't believe me? Load up on dip, snus, or pouches, take your pick, and then go for a run. It's going to be a miserable experience, just like smoking a cigarette or two. That's vasoconstriction at work. It's the real reason you get winded as a smoker. Nicotine wreaks havoc on your cardiovascular system just fine without the tobacco. We don't want vasoconstriction, we want blood flow. Vasoconstriction is what keeps our little soldier from standing up and saluting. It can also accelerate balding. Blood flow is what we want. I use self-talk to lift myself up all the time, right? There's just no downside, but when I decided I wanted to let go of nicotine pouches, I also used it to shame myself whenever I popped one in. Go ahead and pop in your little pussy pouch, little buddy. You feel better now? Yeah, I actually said that over and over again on my last pack of nicotine. Then I was ready to easily let go of it, just as we use positive affirmations to lift ourselves up. In this case, I chose to piss myself off by using shame instead. Tony Robbins said we take action if we are either excited or pissed off. Let go of tobacco by using nicotine patches that help you step down gradually and integrating cardio into your life. There are 3 levels of patches available, and you can even cut them in half to suit your needs. I personally left nicotine behind by chewing a lot of regular chewing gum while using the patches, gradually reducing the dosage over time. Use the stair stepper or elliptical machine if you aren't up to running quite yet. If all you can do is walk at this point, then fucking walk if you have to. Move your ass. In my program, I do at least 1 significant running day every week. Cardio is your nicotine repellent. Learn to love cardio. Use these same steps to let go of smoking if you haven't already. Don't forget, remove the patch an hour or 2 before bedtime. That's crucial. Now we need to address the hard stuff. When Keith Richards let go of heroin, he said that his new high was telling all of his dealers no. Keith said that quitting heroin was one of the hardest things he ever did. He did it cold turkey in 1978 after getting hit with massive drug charges that could have put him away anywhere from 7 years to life. He wriggled out of those charges and dropped heroin. We all know that Keith is Keith. He's no shining example of being always ripped or living a life that's free of vices, but when he's done with something, he's done with something. Music has always been his focus while substances were the distractions. After 1977, his life could have completely been derailed if he didn't change. He eventually gave up coke in 2006 and cigarettes in 2019. He's basically been tapering off over the past 48 years or so. Better late than never, I guess. Look, we all love Keith and the Stones, but he's a unicorn. He's the exception, not the fucking rule. He's like your buddy's Paw Paw, who smoked Lucky Strike since he was 12 years old and lived to be 99. Me personally, I just can't speak to the stuff like meth or heroin firsthand, but I don't want to sidestep it either, so this is me doing my very best to address it and not bullshit you if you're going through it. What I do know is that both meth and heroin cause colossal spikes in dopamine, which is one of our good reward chemicals from working out. That's the euphoria everyone talks about. But meth and heroin mess with your dopamine so hard that they jeopardize your brain's ability to manufacture it naturally. And if you keep it up long enough, you'll never feel pleasure from everyday life ever again. Before we get into strategy or tactical, you'd better pick your guy out. Slap your head on top of his body and stick that picture up on the wall straight away. Nothing's changed there. In fact, you need him now more than ever. Your options for letting go of stuff like meth and heroin are similar and appear to be 1, cold turkey, or 2, stepping down with medication. In both circumstances, you're going to need a strategy and some help. So strategize and set yourself up for success. You will also need to outsmart your future self. You may drink enough to be in this particular camp as well. If you drink heavily, your body will go through some serious shit when it's cut off from alcohol. And it could actually be worse than withdrawing from heroin or meth. So the first week or so of dropping this hard stuff is called acute withdrawal. This is where you need to outsmart your future self. Navy SEALs must go through something called Hell Week in order to get their tridents and become Navy SEALs. If they give up, they can't be Navy SEALs. So like Navy SEALs during Hell Week, you might need to set yourself up in a place with support from others and no access to transportation and telephones. The reason? Most people realize that they want to give up the hard stuff while they're on the hard stuff. But once they're off it long enough, the discomfort and cravings kick in and they start backpedaling. So you want to get ahead of that. Position yourself in a way that ensures you can push through that first really rough patch, your own personal Hell Week. Or you can do it as an outpatient through clinics. For the hard stuff like meth and heroin, I studied guys from two camps. All I did was go to YouTube and type in stuff like how to quit heroin, how to quit meth. On YouTube, there's a guy named Derek Lambert who is in the cold turkey camp. He has videos of himself in collaborations with others documenting their withdrawals from both heroin and meth. They set themselves up somewhere and actually film the entire withdrawal process. You can literally watch these guys come out of the other end of what you're setting out to do. What they've done for you is absolutely amazing, and it's a gift from God. Putting themselves out there like this is braver than shit, man, and you can learn from them, so go do it. Derek came through the adversity and looks terrific now. I found another group whose YouTube channel is called Project Unbroken. They're in the medically assisted step-down process camp, and these guys most definitely qualify for the Always Ripped Club. I highly encourage you to check them out. By now, you should be able to tell that I'm a fan of the step-down process. So put on your thinking cap, strategize. You need to choose your path, cold turkey or a medically assisted step-down process using drugs that curb the cravings and reduce pain. There's no shortage of folks on YouTube breaking it all down for you. What to expect, what to eat, what to drink. You'll see exercise come up frequently. Must be something to that. You need to know that it's going to take the brain a while to physically regenerate back to normal for long-time users. When dopamine levels have been off the freaking charts for so long, normal is going to feel low. And that's when folks get depressed. I spoke with a former meth addict who told me that his brain needed time to physically repair and rejuvenate. It makes sense. We often confuse our brains with our minds. Our brains are just like our arms, our legs, our lungs, and livers. Our minds are something else altogether. Repair and rejuvenation. That right there falls under our sleep well pillar. And we'll get into autophagy in the next chapter. I talked about this particular gentleman at a CrossFit event. After he let go of meth, he turned his life around 180 degrees. He's ripped as hell now, and he has a wife and a kid, and he's killing it in business. Even better, he helps others leave meth behind. He is the epitome of our life's purpose, healing yourself and teaching others to do the same. Check out Brian Welch, aka Head from Korn. Meth was his big thing, and it took him many attempts to let it go. But in the end, he got it licked. I said before that you're gonna need some help. Well, Brian got God's help. He went to see the manager of all managers. You know what I'm saying? Brian Welch is easy to find on YouTube talking about his struggles and multiple attempts to quit. Falling off the wagon with meth is the same as booze. God's driving the wagon. He's not going to run off and leave you. Just forgive yourself and get back on. Look, you are special, but you're not so special. My meaning here is that others have come before you. And I know it's hard, but there's great news. You don't have to reinvent the freaking wheel. Just follow someone else's recipe and you'll get what they got. The fact that you're not a pioneer gives you a leg up. It's already been figured out. Folks are all over YouTube showing you the way. All you need to do first is decide to get ripped. Second, print out that picture with your head over your guy's body and put it on the wall where you can see it. Third, look at what these other guys did to get off whatever type of crap they were on and implement the plan that resonates with you the best. If it gets super hard, redirect and adjust the plan, but do not abort. And if you fail a test, tomorrow's a new day. Just do what these guys did in order to let go of that shit. Just do what that guy on your wall did in order to get that body. You need to become that man now, more than ever. The content for giving up these devil drugs is out there, and you'll find that consistent physical activity is something you'll see over and over again in all these success stories. Let's take control of our addictive personalities and flip what everyone thinks is our weakness into our superpower. We are choosing our addiction. P.S. Chewing gum is your buddy. See you in the next chapter. Chapter 10, Night Night. That's a skit from Kevin Hart's stand-up routine. All of us sleep, but most of us do a shitty job of it. Every day we wake up alive and think we've got sleep mastered just because we make it to work on time. I can almost guarantee you're doing it wrong. I totally know what to do and I still screw it up often. Sleep is your fountain of youth. When you prioritize sleep and regularly adhere to a sleep schedule, you will feel like you have the recovery powers of the Wolverine. Sleep is an area where you just can't geek out enough. Your Apple Watch will evaluate your sleep. Oura Rings will do it as well. It's a thing. Why? Because it's far more important than most folks realize. Does getting Alzheimer's concern you? The number one preventative measure you can take, believe it or not, is getting ripped. The Alzheimer's Society has found that regular exercise reduces the risk of developing dementia by 28%, and specifically Alzheimer's disease by 45%. It's because exercise promotes cardiovascular health, improves blood flow to the brain, reduces inflammation, and encourages the release of growth factors that protect brain cells. What's the number two preventative measure for Alzheimer's? Sleep. Prioritizing sleep can significantly reduce the risk of developing Alzheimer's later in life. During sleep, particularly in the deep stages, the brain performs essential maintenance processes that help clear out toxins, including beta amyloid, a protein that is closely associated with Alzheimer's when it accumulates in the brain. When I go to sleep, I envision thousands of nanobots crawling all over me inside and out like ants, fixing stuff, adding good stuff, taking away bad stuff, basically transforming me into Spider-Man. Even though I'm a weirdo, I'm really not all that wrong. Getting good sleep is restorative in all aspects. I used to think that combining good sleep with fasting was just another key component in getting ripped, but turns out it's so much more than that. But yeah, let's be clear, sleeping well absolutely helps you get ripped. Imagine the most kick-ass party ever, right? Chicks, champagne, food, fireworks, a great band. At some point the party is over and the place looks like a disaster area. Somebody comes in, cleans it all up, hauls off the trash, and repairs all the broken stuff. Then the joint is as good as new, right? That party is a metaphor for our bodies, and the cleaning crew represents our sleep. By not adhering to a regimented sleep schedule, we've been sabotaging our body's primary resource for restoration and regeneration. Our internal cleaning crew will inevitably resort to sweeping trash under the carpet just to keep up. Imagine if the cleaning crew was always left in limbo with what time they could start working. Imagine if the cleaning crew had an 8-hour job to do, but you let the party run too long, so now they've only got 4 hours to do it. Do you see? The 10 most remarkable benefits of good sleep are: boosts brain function, improves mood, strengthens immune system, enhances physical recovery, regulates metabolism, supports heart health, increases longevity, promotes emotional resilience, sharpens decision making, clears toxins from the brain. If you want in on good sleep, here's what you gotta do. A man needs to establish a consistent routine that signals the body it's time to wind down. This includes going to bed and waking up at the same time every day, even on weekends. This is where most of us consistently hose ourselves. Staying up late 2 out of your 7 nights is wrecking you, even if you're not getting hammered. In order to hit our early wake-up times, we have to go to bed early. Pretty simple. Creating a relaxing pre-sleep ritual like dimming the lights, avoiding screens at least an hour before bed, and engaging in calming activities such as reading or meditation can help ease the transition into sleep. You're not too cool to do this. This stuff is backed by science. Shut down the TV, phone, iPad, or whatever gizmo you're on in the evenings way ahead of your targeted sleep time. This next tip was a game changer that I picked up from Tim Ferriss. In the evenings, reach for a fiction book. 1, reading is cool. 2, disconnecting and heading off to a fantasy world that entertains you but does not excite you is the sweet spot for fading off into a good sleep. It is also important to create a sleep-friendly environment. You want to keep the room cool, clean, dark, and quiet. Treat yourself and invest in a comfortable mattress and pillows. It's also a good idea if you're single and you want to entice the future Mrs. Right to stay over. But Scott, I usually have a double scotch after dinner and pop some sleeping pills, and that always does the trick. Does it? So you're always waking up feeling like a spring chicken every morning? You don't have to wake up and piss 3 times in the middle of the night? So many of us think that booze or pills are the answer for falling asleep. And if you've ever had surgery, an anesthesiologist mixed you up a special cocktail and then gassed you until you were out. When you woke up later, were you ready to rock? Alcohol is a sedative, so after a few drinks, it might feel like you've jimmied the lock on the gate to sleepy land. This initial drowsiness tricks you into believing it's improving your sleep, when all you're really doing is trying to knock yourself out. Getting drunk or pilled up every night is just another version of what the good doctor did for you before surgery. It's all sedation, my friend. The adverse effects of consuming alcohol nightly are significant. While you think you need it to fall asleep, it actually disrupts the sleep cycle later in the night. It reduces the quality of deep sleep and interferes with REM sleep, which is crucial for mental restoration. This leads to fragmented sleep, frequent awakenings, and overall poor sleep quality. Over time, nightly alcohol consumption can contribute to insomnia, increased fatigue, and even dependency on alcohol for sleep, making the problem even worse. Additionally, long-term use can increase the risk of sleep disorders like sleep apnea. As for pills, hello, it's just an excuse to take drugs. People justify it as medication, but on the inside, they know it's just another naughty little treat. Pills are addictive and they mess with your gut health. Long-term use of pills can leave you with the very same cognitive decline and forgetfulness that lack of sleep does. So save your money and let's not get hooked on just another fucking drug. We have been programmed to believe that we need booze and pills to go to sleep, but they're the very thing that's wrecking our sleep. In the evening, ditch the pills and replace the booze with tea. Swap the TV for a book, and you'll be whisked away to sleepy land and all the benefits that come with it. The 3 main pillars of our good health are eating clean, training hard, and sleeping well. We can geek out forever and still never know all there is to know in just these 3 areas. Your power will grow when you improve in any one of these areas, let alone all 3. Once you start experiencing good sleep, you'll realize how awful you've probably been sleeping your whole life. Lousy sleep has likely been your normal. Prioritize sleep and you'll thank me. I want to shoehorn just one more tip in here that just might change your life. I've snored my whole life, and putting on a few extra pounds and evening cocktails did not help. By the way, chicks don't care for snoring. Most importantly, snoring is your glaringly obvious indicator that you're not getting good sleep. Just as you don't realize you're breathing when you're awake, you also fail to realize when you're not breathing while you're asleep. It's kind of crazy, right? And that's a problem that could escalate all the way to Alzheimer's. A solution could literally be duct tape. Disclaimer, check with your healthcare professional to identify the underlying causes of your snoring and ensure this method is safe for you. Even though I dropped the weight and the drink, I still struggle with snoring. So, like Sherlock says, eliminate the impossible, and what remained was the pursuit of nasal breathing. This might be the key for you if you snore like I did. Simply taping your mouth shut at night just might do the trick. It certainly has for me. Even some Native American tribes covered up the mouths of their sleeping babies to promote nasal breathing for good, healthy sleep. The ancients knew this stuff. Sometimes it's as if we're trying to remember this stuff rather than learn it. No, you don't have to tape yourself up like a hostage. A small strip of medical tape over your lips is perfectly sufficient. The Sound of Silence, Simon and Garfunkel. There's a reason successful people get up early. It's not just about getting a head start, it's about clarity. It's about setting the tone before the world barges in with its noise, distractions, and other people's agendas. If you want to take full control of your day, take control of your mornings. Meditation is a classic example of accomplishing much with little effort, and it is best done in the early morning. While everyone else is kickstarting their day on Facebook and Instagram, stop flooding your brain with nonsense first thing in the morning. Own your mornings and you'll own your life. Also by Robin Sharma. Now, before you roll your eyes, hear me out. I'm not talking about sitting cross-legged in a robe, chanting while burning incense. Meditation is simple and scientific. It will give you an edge most people will never have. If you're not meditating daily, you're leaving gains on the table, mental gains, emotional gains, and even physical gains. Your mind is like an engine that never stops running, constantly processing information, reacting to stress, and sorting through problems. Meditation is the routine oil change that keeps your engine running smoothly. In fact, my very first car's engine locked up because I wasn't checking, let alone changing the oil. Lesson learned. Here's what meditation does for you. Cuts stress and anxiety. Less overthinking, more focus. Improves discipline and self-control. Helps you pause before reacting like an idiot. Increases creativity and problem solving. You'll start seeing opportunities in your adversities. Enhances sleep. A calm mind leads to better rest. Boosts energy and focus. Makes you sharper, clearer, and more effective. And here's a big one. It literally rewires your brain. Scientists have proven that meditation strengthens the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for decision-making and self-control, while shrinking the amygdala, the part that freaks out over stupid shit. In short, meditation makes you less reactive and more in charge of your emotions. It's not some hippie nonsense, it's biochemistry. The best time to meditate? In the morning, period. It can absolutely be done in the afternoon, maybe on a lunch break, but the early morning is optimal. In my opinion, the best approach is to meditate both in the morning and again in the afternoon. My personal goal is to never miss my morning session, and if I get in a second round later in the day, it's even better. It can be for just 5 or 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it'll benefit you more if it's consistent. Those afternoon lunch break sessions worked out just fine for Jerry Seinfeld. Talk about him in a second. Morning meditation gives you clarity before chaos. Your mind is fresh and the world hasn't had a chance to distract or disturb you yet. Mental armor. It prepares you to handle whatever the day throws at you. Momentum. Starting your day with discipline leads to better choices all day long. Meditation needs to be a part of your non-negotiable morning routine. It's weird how you can go your entire life and never hear about something and then you hear it twice in the same day. It happened to me when my wife Laurie expressed interest in taking a Transcendental Meditation TM class. The same day my YouTube scrollings randomly took me to a video where Jerry Seinfeld credited TM for the success of his hit show Seinfeld. Though Jerry Seinfeld is a comedian, he suffers no fools. I saw that video and immediately got back to Laurie and told her to sign us both up. We paid a significant amount of money and drove a half hour to learn Transcendental Meditation over 3 days. Don't let the fancy name fool you. It's ridiculously simple. The cool kids just call it TM. You don't need to chant or even breathe a certain way, and you can do it in your car if you have to. And don't forget that we paid that significant amount of money. When I italicize the word significant, it means that we gave something meaningful in exchange for wisdom that will benefit us for the rest of our lives. I'm not saying that you have to spend money to learn meditation. In our case, we did, and we don't regret it. Things have a way of balancing out. For example, I've accumulated lots of exercise equipment, multiple bikes, dumbbells, a weight bench, and all of it came to me without spending a dime. But when it came to learning TM, I paid a significant, not exorbitant amount of money for this experience, and I was happy to do it. Funny how that works. The physical tools landed in my lap for free, but the most powerful mental tool I've ever gained required an investment. Plenty of smart folks believe that spending money is simply an exchange of energy, and in the end, nature has no bargains. I could give you 5 easy steps for meditation that will go in one ear and right out the other, but the reality is that I close my eyes and I sit alone with my wife for 20 minutes in silence every morning. I don't even focus on the breath like everyone tells you to do. That's it. Basically, every meditation for me is an attempt to not think about things for 20 minutes. That's all I do. No need to complicate it. I lucked out by finding TM and just went in that direction is all. What I love about TM is that there's nothing to do. I don't have a lazy bone in my body, but as someone who's been reluctant to step into the woo, I appreciate that TM doesn't require lighting candles and chanting or some freaking ceremony. Just sit, close your eyes and be quiet. Simple. Here are 5 celebrities known for practicing transcendental meditation, TM. Jerry Seinfeld, the legendary comedian and Seinfeld creator, has been practicing TM for decades, crediting it with helping him maintain energy and creativity throughout his career. Howard Stern, the radio personality, has openly discussed how TM transformed his mental clarity, stress levels, and overall well-being. Oprah Winfrey. Oprah not only practices TM, but also introduced it to her entire staff, calling it one of the most impactful practices in her life. Tom Hanks. The Oscar-winning actor has spoken about how TM helps him manage stress and stay grounded in an industry known for its chaos. The late David Lynch. This visionary filmmaker, Twin Peaks, Mulholland Drive, was one of TM's biggest advocates, even founding the David Lynch Foundation, which promotes TM for reducing stress and improving mental health. Stephen Covey, in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, talks about sharpening the saw. The idea is simple. If you keep using a dull blade, eventually it stops working. But if you take the time to sharpen it, you'll cut through anything with ease. Meditation sharpens your mind. It's a reset button that cleans out mental clutter, keeps you focused, and ensures you're operating at your highest level. Skipping meditation is like skipping workouts. You might not notice the effects immediately, but over time your performance will suffer. At some point, you'll start feeling more in control. Situations will seem to slow down for you to make better decisions. That's because you've cut out the static. And when the noise fades, something else starts coming in clearer, your conscience. Some call it intuition. Others call it gut instinct. I believe it to be the voice of God. Meditation is not a religious thing, but even atheists meditate. For me, it brought me closer to God by accident. I've often asked myself, if prayer is talking to God, then what is listening to Him? I'd say it must be meditation. And actually, I just saw I'm going to cut in something extra here. I just saw a master class with RuPaul. RuPaul said the exact same thing, so I'm not sure if I unintentionally stole that from RuPaul, but at least we have that in common. After a couple of years of meditation, it hit me. I just might be communicating with God. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. That's how I heard God gently tapping at my door, by taking 20 minutes out each morning to simply be quiet. Look, this book is your ultimate guide, but it's also my story, and what I'm trying to convey is this. Door after door has opened for me, all stemming from that one initial decision to get ripped, including finding God. Getting ripped included meditation, so there you go. When, not if, you begin meditation, don't put pressure on yourself to receive some grand message from God. Please don't do that to yourself. Just let it be what it is. I'm simply sharing what ultimately happened to me. What will happen to you? Well, there's only one way to find out. There is virtually no downside to meditation. We're on a mission from God, the Blues Brothers. This chapter is going to seem a little out of sync with what you've read so far. Perhaps it's because this is the most important chapter, since it stands apart from how a conventional guide might read. But since this is the ultimate guide, I would encourage you to see this as the ultimate chapter. I grew up with cats as pets when I was a kid, and this was the deal. I didn't have a dog until I was in college, and there were 4 or 5 cats that came and went throughout my childhood. And we had a fine home, and I loved the cats, and I thought they all loved me too, except I noticed that one of them was down at the neighbor's house quite a bit. They were all indoor-outdoor cats and could do what they pleased. Pretty sweet situation for cats, right? That particular cat ultimately decided to live down at our neighbor's house, and I now realize that cats will actually do that. I've never heard of a dog doing that, but I never understood why he left. I was never mad at him. I was just only sad. We treated him well. My family loved him and would have welcomed him back at any time without any judgment, no questions asked, but he never came back. You know, I can't help but think that God sees us in a way that's kind of like that. He gave us this incredible gift of free will, the choice to accept Him or turn away. And that's love, my friend. When an overbearing man looks over his wife's emails, phone calls, and texts, that's control, that's not love. God's not about that. To me, it's more like that Cheap Trick song, I want you to want me. He wants us to choose Him, not because we have to, but because we genuinely want to. I've got this buddy who's always posting religious stuff, and one thing he shared that really hit home with me was God sent Jesus to show us that we could have a personal relationship with him. That one really woke me up, and that was the whole point. So if you're looking to start that relationship with God, my advice is simple. Start by thanking him for all the good in your life. Don't come at him with a laundry list of wants. God is not Santa Claus. Now let's talk about your conscience. That's the authentic voice of God right there. That's what I found through meditation. He's never left you. He's telling you the right things to do every time you have a moral dilemma. Sometimes you hear him and ignore him, don't you? But occasionally, his signal comes in pretty clear and you do the right thing. When that happens, what's happened there? God has spoken to you and you actually heard him. Those vices we used to cling to, they're just noise distorting the signal like static in an old radio. But once you clear that out, like the clouds fleeing from sunshine, suddenly you're tuned in, like I can read you loud and clear. Think about it. Why do people dress up for church on Sunday? Why wouldn't you want your Creator to see you at your best, inside and out, all the time? Meditating and dropping vices will clean you up from the inside and bring you closer to God. Period. I know this firsthand. And funny enough, it all started with a vain, ego-driven decision to just get ripped. I'm just like anyone else. I love YouTube. I found myself diving into Billy Graham and Joel Osteen videos, especially in those quiet Sunday mornings. Maybe it was my way of filling a void since I wasn't part of a church community, and when Joel wraps up his sermons, he invites you to say a simple prayer. Lord Jesus, I repent of my sins. Come into my heart and I'll make you my Lord and Savior. Then he says, if you prayed that simple prayer, we believe you got born again. Let me tell you, I said that out loud and no one was around. It's just me and the universe. Simple. I felt like that cat finally coming back home. God welcomed me back with open arms and now we've got ourselves a relationship. Sure, I couldn't list all the disciples if my life depended on it, and I can't remember last time I cracked open the Bible, but I've got myself a relationship with God. Why I fought it and postponed it for so long, I'll never know. You can reach out to him when you're at rock bottom, but why wait for that? Look, you're in your 40s or 50s, right? Well, then you have most certainly accumulated enough life experience to know the good times from the bad. Please don't wait for the pendulum to swing to rock bottom before asking God to come into your life. When you reconnect with him, I'm not saying everything's going to turn out awesome overnight, but here's the thing, man, it's about clarity. You'll be handed one of your superpowers, no joke. Think of the Thundercats, sight beyond sight. I might be the world's worst theologian, but I do know this. God helps those who help themselves. And with that gift of clarity, it's like God shining a spotlight on all the crap holding you back so you can finally start getting rid of it. You'll see around corners and start operating like a wizard, moving in that little sliver in time between what's happening and what's about to happen. Okay, you're getting ripped, you're transforming. Here's what's happening for you, and yet some life-changing stuff. You're shedding your vices. All those bad habits, gone. No more accumulating karmic debt. By subtracting the bad shit in your life, what's left? The good shit. You've got a guidance system now. Thanks to your spelling, you know those affirmations and clearly spelled out desired outcomes. And that vision board with your future self staring back at you, you are owning in like a missile. Actions aligned. No backsteps. Every decision, every move you make is dialed into your desired outcome. Zero backsteps. No more self-sabotage. Yes, there are people who are rotten and have done you dirty. The best revenge is success. When you feel the weight of karmic debt being lifted off your soul, I promise you that you won't even want to hurt an insect. Just try to give. Be a giver. It's the best. Even just with your thoughts, genuinely wish people well, especially the shitbirds in your life. Whatever you put out there always comes back to you, just like a boomerang. Count on it. So just throw good boomerangs out there and they keep coming back to you, knocking you upside the head with good things. It's simple. There's a book called Karma, A Yogi's Guide to Crafting Your Destiny by Sadhguru. And he writes, karma is not a punishment or reward system. It is simply the mechanism by which you become the maker of your own life. Summed up, Sadhguru emphasizes that karma is not about fate or external judgment, but is the natural consequence of one's own actions, thoughts, and emotions. Karma isn't mystical woo-woo stuff. Even Napoleon Hill discussed karma thoroughly, almost in every way but name, in his masterpiece Think and Grow Rich. He explored the same concepts of cause and effect, personal responsibility, and the power of thought. Both philosophies revolves around the idea that your thoughts and actions create your reality, which aligns perfectly with the broader understanding of karma as the consequences of one's actions. Karma ties into why we need to drop the drink and drugs. Messing with substances that impair clarity or harm the body generates negative karmic consequences because it leads to actions that deviate from the path or self-awareness, kindness, and growth. Because you've been stacking up perfect days, you look great, so you feel great. You start attracting better things. The wheel of your life is finally spinning in the right direction. People are noticing. They're asking you how you did it. And guess what? You've healed yourself, and now that you're in a position to help others, do the same. That's why you're here. I cite A Return to Love by Marianne Williamson for that one. She would cite A Course in Miracles by Helen Schumann, and back it goes pretty much all the way to the Bible. The stuff I'm talking about here is grounded in universal law. Getting your karma right is of utmost importance. It operates most often on a time delay, which is why it takes most people so long to accept it as a thing. But make no mistake, it's as real as gravity. Look, eliminating vices and no longer accumulating karmic debt is not nothing, and it's freaking huge. It's that weight being lifted off you that you've heard about your whole life. You will know when you've paid back your karmic debt. It's the thing that finally allows you to move forward. Have you ever felt like there were forces keeping you from getting ahead? We all have. Sometimes we perpetuate little curses upon ourselves disguised as observations like, all my relationships fail and I just can't get ahead. The wrong thoughts, speech, and actions tend to just drive us further and further down, like turning a screw into wood. And when we notice all of that bad and focus upon it, we tend to just attract more bad, turning that screw even deeper. Always remember, you attract what you are, not what you want. So never think or talk about stuff you don't want. I make it a point to always find the nearest exit from unpleasant conversations. I only want to be surrounded by good things. Why on earth would you tolerate bad things if you don't have to? It's your ego that wants the latest gossip. I'm the boss and I don't have time for that mess. Tell me about the good stuff. Who's winning? How are they doing it? Having eliminated your vices, which are actually blocking your access to God, you can now communicate with Him through your conscience-driven lifestyle. By being grateful and clearly communicating what it is you really want with our Creator, you now have the greatest partner imaginable in your corner, guiding you back up on an upward spiral. Living right every day won't seem spectacular until one day it becomes spectacular to you. Something will open your eyes and make you realize the old you is gone. Maybe you'll wake up on your 49th birthday with your family in St. John. Maybe you'll run into one of your old drinking buddies who is still the same dude he was 2 years ago, or worse. Make no mistake, God leaves you signs about these things. Sorry, but there's no finish line with a banner reading, "Everything from here on out is spectacular." You will still have adversity. Bad things still happen to good people. But now you have the superpower to deal with all of it. What if when Superman had a problem, he put on his Clark Kent outfit and headed down to the liquor store? We can take it now because every single day we begin with a workout. The self-inflicted adversity has been making us stronger in more ways than just getting ripped on the outside. It's been a daily offering to God, thanking Him for our vessels, our bodies. We now have a relationship with God through our body and mind because we asked Him to come into our lives. Just because Superman was unstoppable didn't mean he no longer had to overcome adversity. We tend to see Superman's adversities as adventures. I'll be the first to admit it's hard to label our adversities as adventures, but we should give it a try. In an adventure, you know the good guy's always going to come out on top. We absolutely need that same certainty when we meet adversity. You can have that certainty with God on your side. Chapter 13, Final Thoughts. I want you to take away just 3 things when you move on from this book. All you have to do in order to become and remain that always ripped man on your wall is abide by 3 principles. And I refer to these as my 3 pillars. They are immovable, infallible, and undeniable. If you commit to living your life with these 3 pillars as your foundation, you will have success beyond your wildest imagination. Just as integrity, honesty, and respect are universal principles that don't change based on circumstances or trends, we stand upon 3 unchanging pillars. Being principle-centered will equip you with a compass that never fails when confronted with challenges and choices. These 3 pillars are the ultimate operating system that will never let you down. Eat clean, train hard, and sleep well. We have touched upon all 3 pillars, discussing eating clean with keto, training strategies, and the marvelous benefits of sleep, and how you absolutely must prioritize these things equally. I've done my best to inspire you to make the decision to become another man. Becoming someone new is the secret to making everlasting change. In the end, everything I've written in this book stands upon these 3 pillars. Because they are easy to remember, they will always be top of mind and will serve you well as your operating system for the rest of your life. I can't tell you how gratifying it has been to hear my wife say that she is proud of me and has actually been inspired to up her own game. All this came from consistent daily action and commitment to getting ripped. No speeches. I did nothing but keep my mouth shut and focus on getting ripped. Infinitely more came with getting ripped, and I am forever grateful to God for leveraging my vanity into an absolute mind, body, and soul transformation. Because we are here to heal ourselves and teach others to do the same, it has been both my duty and my privilege to share all of that with you. Eat clean, train hard, and sleep well. You can't go wrong. Nothing but upside in a world filled with possibilities, probabilities, and very few certainties. P.S. Do not waste this day. Thanks so much for going on this journey with me, and I sincerely hope that the content in this book will change your life as it did for me. Adios.